us. I know.
Doug made me cry. Made me cry as an infant sometimes.
Sometimes.
Oh, look at this cute little baby.
Brothers.
You know, we're brothers.
Yeah. It's a love tap to your dome.
Love Taps Your Dome's playing.
Love
you saw
to your
them
dome.
last weekend, right?
Playing at ACL.
Yeah.
They're probably one of those hot new up and coming bands.
They're a 60s throwback band.
Because I never see the frontliners.
Yeah.
I never see the headliners.
I just go to the side stage.
It's for fucking fucking noobs.
Well, because I didn't really want to see Miley Cyrus or Tyler the Creator or
You don't want to
George
see Tyler the
Strait
Creator?
or Duran Duran.
Crazy? Or Duran Duran?
Oh, Duran Duran would be great.
I've seen Duran Duran before, and I've seen like
Go watch
Tyler
an
the Creator
80s choreographed throwback band. Fuck Duran Duran. The real thing.
Yeah, but those guys are old, Jeremy. You know what's with all guys.
I always forget to change.
How do they sound?
Oh, they sound fantastic. Yeah.
That's what I figured it sounds like. Maybe they've been all replaced, right? Like, so I go on these rides on Sunday, and one of the guys is drummer for the somethings, and it's a band where everyone has been replaced by somebody else. It's like none of the original guys are even still in the band anymore. So that happens a lot too. I don't think Duran Duran's quite old enough for that, but they're getting there. So
Sure, they're at least a
like today
member or
was
two
Karen
replaced.
Allen's 70th birthday. Marion from, you know.
And she looks 70 in
Original
Raiders of the Lost Ark. I can't
How
imagine what she
dare
looks
you?
like now.
How dare you? How dare you?
I was saying that about Dog the Bounty Hunter. I've been looking at all this
Sure.
new footage of him. I'm like, man, this guy looked old like 15 years ago.
He was 25 when that show aired.
Yeah, that guy's been old since birth.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's got leather-
honestly,
leather
looking at
for
someone like
skin.
Patrick Stewart, who was in his mid 30s when he started doing
Yeah,
Trek,
he's
maybe?
another one.
maybe
I
not
think
mid 30s, 40s probably.
Patrick Stewart's move, though, which was a smart move, is to start looking old,
Yeah.
right? So if you look old when you're 20, by the time you're 90, not much has changed. You know what I mean?
I gotta
Where
Google
Dog
when
the
he
Bounty
started.
Hunter also, he came out, he was born and he was his face looked like a wallet and he had a mullet already. They pulled him out with his mullet.
They pulled him out by the mullet.
Yeah, by the mullet. They pulled him out by his gator cape, which is another name I heard for a mullet recently, which cracked me
Gator
up.
cape.
Gator cape.
Gator Cape's good. Damn.
Gator
Cape.
cape is playing the Weenie Roast.
Oh.
All right, so
Wait,
we start this thing.
I guess so.
Let's do it. Where'd Brenda go? She's already.
We have a
gone.
ghost as our guest.
She's over it. She's over it.
She's just gonna leave the background up.
Yeah,
That's cool.
just leave it just like that. And she's back.
Okay, so this is We Like This Podcast. I'm joined by myself, Dana Waters, Doug Waters, Daryl Waters, Jeremy Dallas, Brent, I forgot the T, sorry, Brent Price, and
Bren.
Brenda Goldman. First time on, what's the first time caller? Not long time.
Long time
Listener?
listener, first time caller.
First time
That's it.
caller.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So
You're not really a long time listener, though, are you?
I mean,
You can lie.
Are you
I
Green
did
Hornet?
watch the segment. I watched the segment for Twilight. Okay, I had a lot to say on that one.
Oh,
But I did watch
I
that
heard a lot about
segment.
that. Mhm.
oh, it's too bad you couldn't. Did you say stuff during that? I don't remember. I mean, because did you type in the thing, the chat deal?
One thing, but you know what? It's fine.
I mean, Twilight's relevant.
I was
to
enlightened.
this.
I was enlightened by some of y'all's perspective. I will say that.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
You
Speaking
were
of
enlightened.
shifting gears really quick, did anyone see the it just came out like 9 hours ago or something like that, the new Game of Thrones series that's coming out?
Was there a
The
trailer for it?
Oh, I saw
There's
you
a
drop
trailer
that-
for it. I
saw
put
you
it-
drop
I put
But
it-
I didn't.
Okay, I need to look at
I
the
have not
trailer.
looked.
I've not seen it yet.
I put it in the chat thingy, the group thingy, but
Mhm.
so so cool. But now we can't talk about it because nobody watched it. All right,
Perfect.
moving on.
All right, so there's that.
I mean, it looks
Anyway,
cool. It looks cool.
Okay.
It doesn't show you much, but it looks cool. It's got one of the doctors in it as a Targaryen.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, I saw him in the thumbnail.
Yeah,
Was it
Matt
Matt Smith?
Smith. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
he looks good as a Targaryen. Looks sweet with a white.
Yeah, he
wig on.
does look. He looks like a Targaryen. Yeah.
He's already got a
Targaryen.
strange face.
He does have a strange face. It's very angular.
He's got an
got a
inbred
very
face.
large-
Is that what you're saying?
Hey, stop reading my mind. You're not allowed to read between the lines there.
Oh, you know. I just wish the Targaryens had mullets. Then they'd be redneck inbred instead of just
Oh, that'd
regular
be cool.
inbred.
It'd be beautiful.
That would make more
Wish they
sense.
had gator capes.
Dude, fucking gator cape. How great is that?
Love that.
Fucking gator
Uh,
cape. Almost as good as Tennessee top hat, but gator cape is my new favorite for the mullet for sure.
Oh,
And I
yeah,
had a
that's
gator
one.
cape when I was coming up. Doug had a gator
too
cape,
good.
and his looked
Dang.
like, but his looked like the mom from the Brady Bunch. So he had the Carol Brady mullet,
Mm.
and I had the little boy's haircut on top, and then I had the, you know, the curtains. And I used to,
Curtains.
and I had to get up at like 4 a.m.
The drapes.
to, yeah, I had the drape, I had the old grape drape, but I had to like comb it. Look, it took an hour. I'd wash my hair first thing. I know you got Holly believe this, like with this dome now.
You washed your hair.
Wash my hair in
Like
the morning.
this.
It was like this.
After you
just
take a
like
shit
this.
like this.
Yeah, I shit like this. No, and then I would blow dry it. This is all in the morning before high school, and then I would weave the little boy's haircut into the elongated part. So I had to slowly comb and spray, and you had to weave it in, right? You know what I mean? Weave it in your own hair, and then you went
Make
to
it look
school,
natural.
and then you went and checked yourself in the mirror once you got to school,
Of course.
right?
Of course.
And then no one ever said "cool mullet, bro." So it's kind of 4 years. Kind of, it was like 4 years wasted,
would
really.
now.
Now that I'm looking back, right? It was 4 years wasted because I
coulda-
didn't get one cool mullet, bro.
Mm-mm.
So
I like how you're talking about your hair, but let's go ahead and see your room. Let's go ahead and show this off.
okay, so
you're-
I moved in with my brother, and his daughter, my niece, just moved out. She's in Japan, teaching English, and so I haven't de-girled the room yet. So the chair I'm sitting in,
Oh, glorious.
right,
Beautiful.
it's got a little pillow, and there's like flowers on the headboard, and then there's pink pillows of it. It's growing on me. At first, I was like, "This is way too much pink,"
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
now I'm kind of like it, and I think I'm gonna really just set fire to it all tomorrow, though. So no, it's
Do
not.
you
worth
like
it.
it because
I-
it kind of like blends in with your complexion?
Yeah, my head is pink and red, right? So
And
it's like when I
pointed.
climb into bed, I disappear. That's right.
Yep. Yep.
The only way you fucking find me is that
Camouflage.
you look for the greasy pillow with eyes, and that's my head. So, and I put up a greasy pillow with eyes. I put up my Triumph thing at least to try to do something to this room to make it mine, but I'm still it's only been a few days. I'm still working.
At least you're wearing a shirt from local Austin venue,
Yeah.
Mohawk.
Yes.
Nice shirt, dude.
Hey, both of you.
Hey.
Jesus.
What?
Nice,
Hey.
the shirtception.
I almost put mine on.
Oh,
Oh, wow,
it's
come
so
on.
close.
damn
I
it.
know.
Hey,
Came straight from
are
work.
you guys like this too? This is a question for everybody. I have 300 shirts. I wear 5 a week. You guys
Yep.
know
Oh, yeah.
what this is like, right?
You wear 5 a
Okay,
week?
Yeah.
I mean, I wear like 7 a week, so I'm not that far off.
Meaning
What do you mean?
I wear the same 5
Oh,
shirts all the
5.
time.
Dana,
Okay.
I was literally wearing the bicycle shirt again today. I
See?
changed before I
Brenda,
got on this.
do you experience
Thank
this
you.
yourself? You have. I'm sure you
Yes.
have. You've probably worn that shirt
Absolutely.
3 times this week.
And
Mhm.
clothes twice, but shoes, same thing. And then I just wear it the heck out. You know what I mean?
I got a
For
weird
like
question.
a few years.
How often you wash your pants? So someone was telling me the other day that
That
you
was
don't
me.
have to wash pants every day. Was that you?
That was
I
me.
want if I
Jeans.
wear pants, those brothers are getting washed. I'm telling you right now. Brenda, go.
Yes, absolutely. Every time.
Wrong.
Everywhere
Wrong.
pants. That's just weird. But
But-
jeans
but-
and
but-
everything.
isn't that weird?
No, absolutely
but-
not. Yeah.
Wait,
no.
wait
Okay,
a
Jeremy.
second though, because denim is a specific
Yeah.
category of pants that is different from all your other kinds of pants.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still going to
For
soak up
denim-
the crotch sauce. It is still going to soak up crotch sauce, and you
Correct.
got to wash that thing.
Okay,
Well,
then
you-
it's a per
no
person
one's
thing.
saying that you shouldn't ever, but
if you got
no.
more crotch sauce, then sure.
yeah, it depends on your mileage,
No.
right?
It's really if you spill something on your jeans or if you sweat, you should watch it.
If
you're Daryl, you should
your,
watch
your
it.
mileage may
Yeah.
vary. You know?
It's not the crotch sauce; it's the mileage. That's what I say about all pants, right?
Your mileage rate.
I'm sorry,
So-
but we grew up in a multi-wear house where you had to wear pants more than once. I ain't doing it.
You have to
I'm
wear
just
something.
saying
If I look
specifically
at them funny, they going in the lawn.
how
Saying
pants work.
specifically with denim,
Just how it
you know,
is.
it's good to. I watched a whole video on this, and now I can't quote any of the shit, so I guess I don't listen very well. But there's, you know, a whole method behind it. Like, it's not like you never wash denim, but you don't wash denim per wear. You know what I'm saying?
You wear denim?
Or so
Are
they
you
say.
panning for gold? or
And
something?
they did
Well, denim
sign-
jackets, same deal with denim jackets.
In the back of Jeremy, they did actual scientific research where they measured bacteria and odor levels, and there's no difference from freshly cleaned jeans to ones that have not been washed, as long as you didn't sweat or spill something on it. And
Right.
you could even just stick them in the freezer, and that's enough.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You get vacuum seal bags and you put them in the freezer. It kills all the
Yep.
bacteria that create bad odor, and that's
Yeah.
how you.
Of course, I will never do that because
Yeah,
I
I'm
can't
not that
accept
crazy.
it. But the
This is
science
the-
backs it up.
This is the equivalent of so shit processing plants. All they do is they take the shit and they just kill the bacteria and then they send it out to the ocean. This is the same thing. The crotch sauce is still in the crotch. Okay,
Well,
I don't
you're
care if
still
how much you
washing the
freeze it.
pants.
If you freeze the crotch sauce, you may kill the bacteria, but the sauce is still sauce, guys.
Freeze the crotch
There's still-
sauce
there's
is the
still
first
some
single from Gator King.
Basically, it's all in your head, man.
What is this podcast about
Yeah.
again? So
Is
yeah,
the-
we watched
What
the
did we
show.
watch?
Is the
We
lead
d- we
singer
don't
of
like
Gator
this.
Cave Steve Irwin?
Well, here's the thing, really quickly. These beers are 2 beers in one, and I'm on my third one.
Yeah.
so-
9%.
Woohoo!
Okay.
Two beers
Six,
in one.
6%, I think.
Oh,
Six. They're just 6, so
Those-
maybe
so they're
2.5
2 week
beers.
beers.
2 week beers. This is a week beer.
Two regular Bud Lights.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
It is
I've
a
got
black-
my vodka
Okay, yeah,
right
it's not a
here, so I'm
Texas.
good.
It's not a Texas regular beer. It's a
Thank you.
California.
Now,
Sure.
I spent 8 hours watching this thing, so we should probably talk about it
Yeah.
at some point.
Sure.
Definitely,
8 hours.
definitely.
Okay.
Well, it
Doug,
was
I think you
seven-
should start.
It was 7 and some serious change.
Doug, I think you should start. What do you think about this thing?
Yeah, I really want to get Doug and Dad. I want to get your guys' opinions on this for sure because we haven't.
Opinions.
had a
you'll
lot
get
of,
it.
Like, okay, good. That's why we're doing this. Is the that's why you're here. Because I was curious because we haven't gotten a lot of good vampire stories recently, and you guys grew
Yeah.
up with all the good ones like Lost Boys and Fright
Fright
Night.
Night.
Yeah,
Interview.
So
Friday night.
Interview with a
yeah.
Vampire. Yeah, exactly. So I want to get your guys' opinions on this for sure. But yeah, Doug, start it off.
I'd have to say that I liked it because the whole idea of a vampire was sort of in the background. And I mean, I will say this was probably about 6.5 hours too long, but other than that, I mean, I like the idea. It was a good being on an island, being isolated, starting out with just like glowing eyes and stuff like that, and a few people disappearing, and there was at least 2 guys that were talking about seeing an albatross or a pelican, very large, and turned out to be the original vampire and stuff like that. It was most of it was very low key and was kind of focusing on the church and the people going there and the people who didn't go, for that matter, which kind of added to the mystery, the horror, and everything like that. That actually what's going on is, hey, we got vampires, and so I did like that because it was a bit of misdirection through most of it. Obviously, towards the end, they started picked it up, but I can say at the end, it was the last episode, I think, and when what's her name, the teacher, is laying on the ground, slowly dying for like 20 minutes. And I mean, even I was yelling at the screen, die already. So, I mean, I understand making a point, but make it. I mean, she's literally laying there with nothing else, going back and forth with these visions of talking with, what's his name, Riley, for 15 minutes. And it's just like,
That's his
and,
wife.
you know,
Loved all that.
make your
So
point.
she gets the
make
most
your
screen
point.
time, bro.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's
Okay.
that's the director and writer's wife. So
Okay,
Ah.
understood.
It's true.
But I mean, make your point and go, and I was happy to see Elliot was in this movie.
Yep.
yes,
And
Henry Thomas.
as a nice connection to Three Amigos, Annabeth Gish was in this.
Wait,
Distantly
who's-
related to Dorothy Gish.
Who's Dorothy
who
Gish?
told Ned Niederlander that he
Who's
had
Annabeth Gish?
She's the
Yeah,
doctor.
Everyone has seen
Anyway.
Three Amigos a lot
You know,
of times.
to your point, I actually wanted to talk
No.
about this, Doug. It's interesting you brought it up because I felt like the same thing. Like, no, I to start off, I love this series. I thought it was great. I think Hamish Linklater, whatever his name is
Dude, yeah.
if he, it's hard to say because he was in it. I was going to say if he wasn't in it, it was hard to say because he really is a quality actor.
Mhm.
And I don't want to get too far in the weeds on this too, but it's the difference between him, who's a really quality actor, and the main guy and the director's wife, who feel they're good, but they're very TV passable actors. Does that make any sense?
Mhm.
Where Hamish Linklater is really next level, in my opinion.
He's
really
stand
amazing.
out. Yeah.
Who
He's
is he?
amazing.
Who
He's
is
the
he?
Where
priest.
everybody else
He's,
feels like
Father
they're
Father
good.
Paul.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They're good, but he's like amazing
Yeah.
next level actor.
Mhm.
I feel like
Agreed.
he's like a cinematic actor, if that makes any sense. I mean, and he did a lot of TV for a long time too. Anyways, like I said, I don't want to get too far in the weeds on that, but I tend to agree with you, Doug. I felt like it was way too goddamn long. I thought there was a lot of stuff, but I
Yeah, I
also
mean-
wonder if we didn't have this stuff, would it be to let it breathe? Because Doug and I are definitely from the area of Let It Breathe. If you watch even 80s movies that are 90 minutes, there's a lot of parts where they even let it breathe, even in the 80s. You know, a lot of long held shots, not a lot of
But I don't
cutting
have
back
a
and
problem
forth.
with that. I think
Yeah.
if but I mean, again, this thing is what, 7 hours and some change, 7 episodes. Each one's over an hour, at least. Like I think the shortest one is an hour and 2 minutes.
Mhm.
And some of them go over an hour and 10 minutes, which is fine. I didn't most of the time it didn't drag enough. But like I said, I think that a lot of it was and I'm okay with it being 3 or 4 hours or something like that.
Yeah, I
like
think
I
that
said,
would
to
have
let
worked
it
better.
breathe.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was just beating us over the head with the same point. Make your point and move. And I mean, I understand what they were doing. I liked a lot of what they're doing. Like I said, the pastor, there was a lot of I don't know what you'd call it, geriatric appropriation. There were a bunch of young actors playing old people. There was at least 5.
It reminded me of like
And I'm
reminded me
like,
of like Back to the Future, where
I-
like
know.
all the actors
Okay,
wear makeup.
It was for a reason. Now we know.
I
This is-
understand. Yeah, I
yeah,
understand.
it's easier to de-age
About an
than
hour
to-
ago, I realized that was a reason. But
Mhm.
still, like I said at first, especially the doctor's mom looked like she had about 15 pounds of makeup on her
that
face.
that
Geriatric
okay, really quickly,
Yeah,
that
it's just
didn't,
like-
that's my quibble. That annoyed me. I'm an old woman.
Yeah,
Was the
exactly.
actor,
Yeah,
and it
She
was
It
she was
reminded me of
doing-
Back
she
to the
was
Future
doing-
too.
Right.
yeah.
So she was doing generic. Yeah, she was being George McFly in A Back to the Future too.
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey kids. and the actress is like probably at least 30 years younger than Annabeth Gish, and who plays her daughter. And it's like, okay, I get it, but I mean, I also think that get somebody that kind of looks like them and just play it
Right.
off. You don't have to do the Looper thing where they go through and they digitize Gordon Levitt to look like Bruce Willis. We can suspend our disbelief if you just say, hey, this is the old character. And that's fine. But they didn't, and that's fine. That was a choice they made, and it didn't as she started getting younger, it didn't bother me so much.
Yeah.
It's just that
'cause
initially, yeah, she's sort of getting closer to her actual age. Where she's trying to, but I mean, at first when she's acting like she's got Alzheimer's and stuff like this, and basically doing the old woman thing, it's to me it was a little much. And like I said, I was glad to see Elliot was in this movie. I was screaming.
What I really loved about it was this the interweaving, if you will, of vampire lore and Catholicism. I thought was brilliantly done in this.
Yeah.
Right. So the
It's seamless.
priest goes and gets bit, right? And because of his his whole life believing in Catholicism, it was very easy for him to make this vampire into an angel that had rescued him. And that's why he brought it back and was giving all the parishioners the blood, because it was the covenant. And it was brilliant. I thought it was brilliantly done. I'm still not sure how I feel about it at the end, if it's like reversal of like, no, this is bad. Like he kind of went the whole. I feel like if you go this far, it's very hard at the end for you to now have a conscience. You've already
And
killed
in the
people.
last 45 minutes, she hands the torch, or he hands the torch off to Beth. What's her name? And
I don't know if it didn't drive me crazy. It didn't like me make me hate it or nothing. But I feel like I feel like he should have maintained throughout
commitment.
Yeah, I mean, he's this far.
but-
Go ahead.
So I have something to say to that. I think that the reason why I don't think he grew a conscience, I think, that one scene where he explained the whole reason he did it was for her, right? It was for that
Yeah.
woman. I don't know names, but the whole reason he did it was so that it would reverse her dementia or her Alzheimer's or whatever, and that they could live this life together and raise their daughter, and he could have that life that he didn't have because he chose priesthood. But
Yeah.
the fact that she was against that, I think that's why he surrendered the thought of it, and gave it up, rather than it be, I would eternity, I would definitely see that being like, and the power and all that came with it. But I think that's what sold him on it, is the fact that it was really her. It was all about her. From the
Yeah,
beginning.
they explain that in a 5-minute thing, right? Where they
Correct.
spent 8 hours while some of the shit that kind of, in my opinion, didn't matter. I think it would have been better if we'd spent more time with their relationship, because we only get a little bit of an inkling that they
Mhm.
and that they were obviously had a history, but not a history that they were lovers or whatever and had a child.
Yeah.
We got none of that.
Correct.
And I thought it was kind of a reveal and anything too, but it's like, I don't know, just for me, it felt like not enough. And then we don't spend any more time with it. Like, he visits her a couple of times and he's giving her the blood and everything like that, but we don't have any. It's just like they kind of just out of nowhere reveal that this is the daughter, and it kind of made sense.
Mhm.
But and like I said, I'm not saying it didn't kill it for me. I still really liked it. I just didn't feel like it was enough. I feel like we spent all this time with these two main characters and a lot of their talking and back and
Yeah.
forth in history that never really meant anything.
It's funny
Where their
how
history
long-
meant something.
Yeah,
the
it's fu-
priest's
yeah.
history and the young woman in the old makeup and their daughter who became the doctor. That should have been the heart of the story, in my opinion, instead of these two people that aren't really, that felt more like misdirection. And so kind of who cares about them? You know what I mean? Well, one thing
Yeah.
really quick before I forget about that I really, really liked is this guy's known for his ghost stories, because he did, what's the one he did, Danon?
A haunting
Did
of
the
Hill
Haunting
House.
of Hill House.
Haunting of Hill House.
And the Haunting of
um,
Bly
Oh
Manor.
yeah, I saw
The
that.
Haunting of Bly Manor, yeah.
She's in that one
Which
too.
the Hill House was good. I like that one too. But what I liked about this is I thought it was a ghost story at first, so I like that misdirection. Because he kills that woman drunk driving, and then he's seeing her ghost,
Mhm.
I guess. And so I'm thinking, okay, it's another ghost story, cool. And then it wasn't, which I thought was really cool too. And the thing that I thought that was great too that they did was when the priest was confessing by himself in the confessional. That's how they told that was their exposition for the
That was
whole story
great.
about him
Right.
becoming.
Yeah.
I
that was cool.
fucking love that. I thought it was
Yeah.
great.
That was
I
really
thought that was a
clever.
great way for him to use, like I said, his belief in his belief system and being a priest in Catholicism and everything, for him to square with the fact that this wasn't a vampire that bit him in a cave in near the Wailing Wall,
Mhm.
that this was an angel that had rescued him and shown him the way, and he needed to bring this angel back with him, which must have been really hard, getting him in that crate.
Yeah.
How you
So-
doing that fucking
That's
break?
pretty big.
Right?
Yeah,
Check
things
that dog
did, yeah.
out. Do you think you
Um,
think it'd be like a support pet or something? You can get 'em?
Yeah, right.
Carry on.
Some breathing
Daddy.
holes like Tyrion Lannister. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But even still, I loved I thought all that shit was great. I felt like it just could have been. I feel like they could have wrapped it. I think everything's now is an eight episode series, and that's like become the thing to do.
Mhm.
And so now they're like, okay, well, okay, yeah, great show, do it, but we need eight episodes. And so I think they fill the 8 episodes with a bunch of stuff that, like was Doug was saying, I don't know if we really need it. You know what I mean?
So the thing with Mike Flanagan is this is exactly his style with the Haunting of Hill House and the Haunting of Bly Manor, is that they're not horror stories. They're in Haunting of Hill House, it's a family drama dealing with tragedy and grief and addiction and trauma. And that's framed around a horror story, or
Yeah.
horrors around that central storyline. And then the Haunted of Bly Manor is a love story between two characters who aren't necessarily the central characters throughout the show.
Yeah.
So we kind of have similar themes here, where you have just a drama show with some supernatural things happening in the background. So if you're in it hoping for a condensed, scary horror vampire story, that's not really what you're going to get.
Which
You're
I'm not.
going to get a
Mhm.
long form drama that has some supernatural elements behind it, and it'll culminate
Yeah,
in a climax
Yeah.
like that,
yeah,
which I definitely
and it's-
appreciate for his style, because that's when some of those scenes when you're like, okay, they're talking a long time, there's a lot of exposition here, or how is this relevant to the progress of the main storyline? It's not, but it's relevant to those characters and their history and their relationship. And so it's
Yeah.
all valuable moments for a drama show, but maybe not for a traditional horror supernatural show.
I just would have rather seen. I just think the whole show should have been about this priest and his forbidden love with this woman, right? And they
Yeah.
still could have done a reveal. We still could have not known. They could have just cut back and forth between all the time they spent with the director's wife and
Right.
guy who killed that woman. Yeah, you know, drunk driving. I think that could have been spent with the young priest and this woman and their forbidden love, and I think it would have meant so much
Mhm.
more at the end when this is why he did it. Because
yeah.
to me, it was kind of just like it fell out of nowhere, and they wrap it up. Like I said, they spent 8 hours doing all this shit, and then in 5 minutes, it's like, oh, but I did this for you. You're like, I'm not really feeling it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
'Cause
I
he
like
just came and gave her some blood every week, and then you know brought her,
Yeah.
made her
Yeah.
young again.
And,
but-
and what's funny is he doesn't really pay
let
attention to
Jeremy
his
talk.
daughter, even though
Jeremy's
Yeah,
been
sorry,
trying to
Jeremy,
talk for
go
like 30 minutes.
I have
Sorry,
been.
Jeremy, go ahead.
No, I actually liked the relationship between Riley and what's her name. I think
Me
for
too.
it being 7 hours, it wouldn't have been a big deal to actually split the time a little bit more. Like we didn't need to focus so much of the time on the two of them. But if you had a couple different storylines kind of going in at the same time, kind of being congruent with each other, I think that would have been cool, because I do think that twist or whatever it is, where he's the father, kind of does come out of nowhere, and they definitely should have spent more time on it. But I also like early on some of the connections that Riley and I'm just keep forgetting her name. What's her name? Wife
Aaron Green in the show.
Aaron Green.
Green.
Aaron.
Yeah, like I still liked the relationship that they had. I think you could have spent 7 hours more wisely, you know, because there's other
He's-
stuff to explore.
He spends no time trying to get to know this daughter, right? This doctor daughter,
Yeah,
or
like that would have been great.
like
And when he goes to give her mom mass, doesn't pay any attention to it at all. And
Yeah.
then at the end, he's like completely focused on her.
it should have been
And-
like, hey, I want to get to know you better, and she would have been like, well, why, you know, kind of thing. And that's all
Mhm.
that's how they could have built it up and then revealed.
Yeah, and
Where-
there's-
Now it was alerted during the festival
The
get
park-
together.
The park scene, yeah, he was
that
staring at her.
he
I
was
remember
paying
that.
attention to her for years.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah,
He-
yeah,
he
yeah.
And the
just
little thing
creepily-
about
yeah.
It wasn't
the
super
lady,
obvious.
the old lady seeing the
Very
face
creepy.
in the window. And I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
swear that's so and so. So there was little subtle things that
Mhm.
pointed to it, but
Yeah.
like I said, you know, you could have spent
Subtle.
more time for 7 hours.
and yeah,
building that up.
sorry, over 7 hours, you tend to forget some of these little details.
Well,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
No.
one thing stylistically I can appreciate is how a story doesn't necessarily focus on who is going to be there at the final scene as the hero or the antagonist or whatever. It's going to follow the discovery process of the story. These characters who first discovered what's going on, they may die, and then they pass the baton to the next person who you're going to follow until it culminates to the end of the series. I'm not sure that I would have liked it if it followed the priest the whole way through, because
I agree
that
with
that would
that.
remove some of the mystery of what we were discovering along with the main characters, or the main characters for the first 6 episodes.
And I think Riley is uniquely placed as the main character in the story because he is simultaneously an outsider, but someone who knows this community really well.
yeah,
And so for him to see what's going on as someone who's re-entering this community is a good perspective to have for the viewer. Because you're getting through Riley's eyes, you're getting reintroduced to a bunch of people that you know he's already kind of known previously, and you also get the church environment from someone who is not really wanting to go to church, right? So you get that outside perspective too, and one of the main themes throughout this whole show is this sort of toxic culture that is kind of created around this like small church thing that's happening. They never come right out and say it, but it's like especially with the Bev, it's kind of culty, like she's kind of culty.
Yeah.
I've
and
never
so
hated
getting that
someone.
outside good job, because I really fucking hated this woman. So
Oh,
she
yeah.
did a great
I was gonna
job.
say the standout besides Hamish Linklater, the standout actress in this was I can't remember her name now, but she was fucking great because she
Bev King.
Samantha- made you hate her.
She made you hate her, yes.
right
Yeah.
and that
Oh,
is
yeah.
that is a great actress when you were like, man, I hate this person. I'm sure she's really nice.
She makes your
She's a
blood
lovely
boil.
woman,
Yeah.
but man, in this show, I want to fucking smack her, which was great.
Yeah.
That she's that good of an actress too. But and I know what you're saying, Brent. But I'm just like, I don't say that Riley had to be the main character. I think he was a great way to introduce the story. I think his I loved when him and the priest were getting together and doing their AA meetings and stuff. I thought those were great. And he could be and he was always on a course with death. So when I love that part. I thought it was great that he found out what was going on, got turned into a vampire, and knew that this was his destiny, was to die. You know what I mean? Because he could never square with the fact that he killed someone, and he always deserved. He felt that he must die for his sins, that he must pay for it this way, and so when he had it was his out. You know what I mean? Now he had a good reason to die. Really.
Yeah.
yeah.
And connecting his ongoing dream with him being in the boat and them being together, or him and
Right.
the teacher being together, and then all of a sudden the last dream she's there, and then they're actually recreating his dream because he has the epiphany, the this is where he's supposed to. I mean, because he can sit there, he could have sat there for a week
Mhm.
trying to explain to her that he's a vampire and she wouldn't buy it.
Right.
But and demonstrating that and getting rid of himself, and he had pretty much done what he was supposed to do, is bring us into the island and show us that stuff is weird because he hadn't been there for X number of years.
Also, let's just say that quick cut to Aaron screaming from
Was
his
great.
dream sequence was a great quick cut.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Let's go
was-
ahead and
that was heavy
traumatize you
duty,
really
man.
quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was heavy duty. And all the shit we're saying about it, it being too long, and maybe I wish I'd spent more. These are just quibbles, if you will.
Yeah.
It didn't ruin the show for me at all. I thought it was great. I was in. It was one of those things I blasted it out. So I a couple weekends ago, I flew to Texas, and I'd loaded this on my phone because Dana and I had been talking about it. I watched 4 episodes on the plane, and then when I got off the plane, I got home, I watched the rest of them. So I was way into it. I was way into it. So, like I said, these are just quibbles, if you will, that I thought would have been a better way to do it. But I still thought it was a great show. I thought it was really well done. I think the story was great. I love vampires. 30 Days of Night is another great vampire film
Yep.
that I didn't grow up with. That came out way later, but is also a great vampire film. So I put that in there with Lost Boys, An Interview.
I just watched 30 Days a Night like a week ago.
Dude, 30 Days is fucking great.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah, so
vampire
good.
movie.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so
Has
good.
everybody seen that? Brenda, have you seen that?
Have not. No.
Great
I haven't.
vampire film.
Yep.
Right.
Jeremy,
I haven't. I have
What-
not seen
leave.
30 Days a Night.
get off
Get
right
outta here.
now and go watch it. You're gonna love it.
I've now
It's
seen
great.
it 4 times. You need to see it one.
Yeah.
It's
That's how it
excessively
works.
violent too. It's really violent, which is
Okay.
I'm a big fan of too.
But,
But it's got a good story.
I was gonna say, on top of the priest, who is fantastic, and Bev Keane, who is fantastic, the sheriff was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Mahone
yeah.
Coleman.
Sharif. Oh man.
Okay. So here's my other quibble. I liked his character. I liked all that. What I didn't like is that the fact that he was Muslim didn't mean anything to the heart of the story. Like he was just a Muslim character. I don't. At the end, it should have meant something. I think
it was supposed to show the dynamic of authority on the island, where the church really had the authority. He was just living there, and no one would trust him or listen to him because they hated him.
I just feel like his faith, which was different from everybody on the island, generally everybody on the island being Catholic, I feel like it should have meant something more to the story than him just being a Muslim character. Just my opinion.
I think
like
it
should have been
really good. It was a really good kind of juxtaposition, because he's like one of the only people who's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, this is insane. This isn't religion. Like, and that's what you're thinking as an audience member the entire time. You're like, this is not organized religion. This is an actual cult. And so he's the person that says it. And him being a Muslim, I thought it was a great, like, the moment in the school when he's contesting Bev Keene's.
That's when
that was one of my favorite
That's
scenes.
when I really wanted to strike.
One of my favorite scenes in the whole show.
That was so good. I thought that was great.
And I think it was helpful to have someone that was against how the island was living their lives, but was also religious himself. Because we could obviously, in modern days, be very anti-religious entirely in some rhetoric. So it was helpful to have someone who had a sober viewpoint while still having his own faith.
Yeah, because
I
now
thought
we
that
have
was
three different
cool.
viewpoints, right?
I just wish that his Muslim faith had something to do with him discovering that some weird vampire cult was going on. Something
like it just wasn't utilized.
It wasn't utilized properly. I feel like at the end it should have helped him. His faith should have helped him somehow. Get him out of the situation. Something.
Yeah,
help me out here, Doug.
To me, him being Muslim was incidental, because you had the doctor who was obviously not Catholic. She had no faith whatsoever, and it didn't. And so it would have been just as easy for him to walk in and go, well, I'm an atheist, just like Riley did. Riley walked in as an atheist. And at the end, you see these townspeople where Bev is saying, that one guy, no, you never came to church, so you're getting left out in the sun. And so to me, it was sort of, him being Muslim was sort of incidental. And to me, it would seem to me that, okay, we're having dueling religions here. And to me, is him being Muslim shouldn't make a difference.
Again, this is a quibble
in the context of what's going on.
I think his characters,
it doesn't make him more or less. I mean, I think there could have been something where like you're saying, Daryl, but it wasn't.
I think his character
it was sort of a thing to connect him and eventually break him up and reconnect him with his son, which I guess was kind of interesting. But again, it was one of those things. We had 7 hours, and there was not enough structure. I mean, you got to pick your battles here. I mean, and I think one of the big problems with this, and again, like Daryl said, it's just a quibble of mine. It's not that I don't like it. I did like it. I enjoyed it much. I'm probably gonna wait a little bit, watch it again, so I can see some other things in it. But again, to me, when you're doing something, even when it's 7 hours long, you got to pick your battles, because remember, every time you switch characters, every time we dump Riley and go over here, that's your audience going, okay, now we've got to get used to this person. And sometimes across 7 hours or 2 hours of a film, you need every minute of that time to connect people with a character or characters. And like I said, it's fine that they die. That was perfect. It was well done. Again, when I saw them in the rowboat and Riley dies, I was like, look, he's done his job. He did what he was supposed to do. He provided a hope and this avenue where people are going to start saying, hey, there's vampires here. And certainly the doctor, her mom, and the teacher Ellen Green, they utilized that. And
I think what Brent is trying to say here is and Doug and I are used to a different style of storytelling, being older than y'all. I think that might.
I mean, it's not even that. It's
like no. I'm just saying, like, when you choose a character that's Muslim and then it doesn't necessarily mean anything in the end, to us that doesn't make sense. Where, and this may be the creator's style, and I think it is, where he's just having it as a juxtaposition and nothing else. Like, Riley's an atheist, you have most of the town being Catholics, and then you have the sheriff and his son being Muslim, and his son questioning his Muslim faith and saying, this isn't my. I think it's there just to do only that. Where me,
yeah.
When you've gone out of your way to choose a character and make a character Muslim, I want it to mean something more than just an interesting story.
It's not even that. I mean, if this was a longer paced series, where we could spend an episode out of 13 or however long a season is to spend a lot of time and enjoy getting to know these people, that's fine. That's not what's happening here. Is that we're trying to root for someone or a group of people, and it's kind of difficult when okay, we're going from Riley and Ellen to over to here and over to here. I understand what they're doing, and that's fine.
What's going on down there?
But like I said, it's a jump, and if you get it, that's fine, and I understand what they're doing. But like I said, to me, is I would have appreciated that time being used to get to know. I mean, if the sheriff is the lead guy taking the charge and everything, fantastic, let's go. And he's a Muslim, okay, fine, let's do that. But the sheriff spent a lot of time on the side.
Well, this is my biggest complaint with Breaking Bad, which I love, and I always say is the best show that has ever been on TV in the history of TV. Yes, I know it's a bold statement, but I believe that. But my biggest problem with Breaking Bad is Marie. It means nothing. It does nothing to the story. It's just it's filler. And so, like I said, if you're going to go out of your way to make a character Muslim and have him as the sheriff and everything, which I thought was great, make it mean something. If you're going to go out of your way to make Marie a shoplifter and dealing with all this bullshit, and Hank and her dealing with all this bullshit, make it mean something to the bigger part of the story, not just be filler until we get to the cool Walt parts again. And that's just what this cut. And I know that this is where storytelling is gone. And that's what I'm telling you, that we're used to a storytelling where, well, there's a reason why this guy's a Muslim and he's put in this story. And I kind of want that. Okay, and so when I don't get that, I feel cheated. Just the same thing, like, hold on, really quick. It's the same thing with Marie. She's a kleptomaniac and stuff. She goes to all this bullshit and everything. Well, what the fuck does that have to do with Walt and Ben being Heisenberg and everything? It has nothing to do with it. And this is my same thing. What is him being Muslim and being the sheriff and everything, which I thought was a cool dynamic at the end of the story? What does it have to do with anything? And the answer is nothing.
I think a big thing about it is not that it's Muslim. It could have been any other religion. He could have been Jewish.
Agreed.
But the fact that in a situation like that, anyone is going to want to look to the sheriff or the police for help.
Of course.
And when he is able, as a character, to disclose his background, and he's like, why? And you want me to investigate the church after all this?
Yeah.
It's like, no. because it's something that's happening is so unbelievable. And he's one of the other realistic, sober-minded people on the island. And to say, like, yeah, I need more evidence. This is just insane what you're telling me. And he doesn't even have a gun. Like, they can't look to him to be the hero, where you would traditionally in any other horror be like, that guy's got a gun, let's go with him and follow him. No, the main characters have to do it themselves. And he was not ever going to be the hero for this island. You know, he was just dealing with his own personal issues with his son. And the fact he never believed any of it because he never went to church and saw it happen. So he only saw what was happening in school or when he was dealing with the drunk friend, you know, that's about it.
Right.
He was not in the story.
Really quick before I forget, who poisoned the priest?
Bev.
Okay, so because I got a little lost.
Brenda
in your
found this
part.
out like way sooner than I did.
Yeah, help me out here. So he, frothing at the mouth, falls down and is poisoned, and that is because they do this to everyone later. They poison everybody later. If everybody's been drinking the blood, right?
Yeah.
So if you haven't been drinking the blood and you get poisoned, you're just gonna fucking die. You're not gonna get reborn, as it were. So Bev poisons the priest.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my original thought.
Yeah, help me out
because
here.
There was a scene. I think I messaged Dana too. It was like a play-by-play. There was a scene. I don't know how many. Not so. It was maybe the episode before, but she goes and puts the poison back on the show. It was like a total foreshadowing moment, and I immediately told him she did it because of that foreshadowing. Like they alluded to it, or she's going after the sheriff. I was like, it's one of the two. But then they showed him foaming at the mouth. So I mean, he either did it himself because he knew. Did he question her before? No. Did he see it? I don't think he even saw that it was there. So
no.
The sheriff questioned her about the poison.
It was the
very
sheriff,
certain
that's
she
right.
did it, but the father never saw her.
But here's the thing: he is a full-fledged vampire. The priest is, because
after he died.
I think he had to die. He had to die though.
Dying was a transition.
Here's the thing, though, right? And so he gets bitten, which is standard, and doesn't die. And then the vampire feeds him his vampire blood, which is standard too. And now you're a motherfucking vampire. But in this, he gets bitten, gets fed, gets poisoned, right? And comes back. And now he's a vampire. And that's how they explain how everybody else becomes a vampire. But that's not really what happened to everybody else too. He was just feeding them. They were drinking the blood of Christ every day, and he'd slip the blood in there, the main vampire, the angel blood in there, and then they die and become vampires. But that's not what happened to him, because, like I said, he gets bit. Sorry, really quick. I think it's important because I got confused by this part. He gets bit, he gets fed the blood, then he dies.
So did I.
You know what I mean? But nobody else knows that.
Yeah, but I don't think they.
I don't think the biting necessarily mattered in this world for turning into a vampire. It's the ingestion of blood does it.
Right.
And that's
which is why he was able to be out in the sun. That's exactly right.
Okay, because that was my other question too. Is like
he wasn't dead yet.
Yeah, the actually dying is a transition from potential vampire to full vampire. Without dying, you just have the benefits of long life and healing.
Yeah, you can walk again. You start looking younger.
But you don't have cravings, right? You're not out drinking blood intentionally.
But you're right. You're right in the sense that they never revealed exactly, did he consume it himself? Like, he was getting dizzy, he was getting sick. Did he conspire with her to take it, or did she do it? And then why would she do it? They completely left that out.
Yeah, so, like what
I think that.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
They never really come right out and say it, but I think that she kind of has it out for the priest pretty early on. She doesn't like him very much. She even gives him shit about not wearing the right robes.
Yeah.
So I think she actually views him early on as a threat, because she is the religious standard for the community, not this fucking guy. This guy comes out of nowhere, and all of a sudden he heals someone. Like, no. Like, I'm going to be the religious authority in this town. I'm the one who's gotten all the money. I built the big fucking rec center that she reminds the sheriff about a bunch. Like, she's very proud of being the religious authority in town. And I think she views Father Paul as a threat, especially after he heals the girl.
Okay.
And
I think she also sees him as a threat to Monsignor Pruitt. Because at least we don't actually see Monsignor Pruitt and and her have a reaction or an interaction, but it just seems to me that she seems to defend him. And then she comes along when she sees that old newspaper in his office, and he looks exactly like Father Paul. Is all of a sudden that's sort of when she becomes on board, because she realizes that that is Monsignor Pruitt, and that's when she starts calling him Monsignor Pruitt, is because that to her is, she may be the figure in the town, but that is their religious symbol of the town, of the island, is this Monsignor Pruitt. And so I think that she sees him initially as coming in, this young guy invading Monsignor Pruitt's territory. And so I think that's why she gets somewhat aggressive. But like I said, as soon as she sees the newspaper, she's all on board with him.
Somewhat aggressive. She poisons him. I wish in my another quick quibble, I wish I'd seen some teeth, man. I like to see vampire teeth. It's hard to rip out someone's throat with normal human teeth. I've tried.
I mean, that vampire.
I'm telling you.
Vampire thing.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point, someone just like was eating brain out of a scalp, right?
I'm just saying, you got to have some.
true.
You have to have some mighty incisors. You got to have some canines grow. They kind of, and that's fine. I understand too. It's like you can push the vampire lore around a little bit about how things are, but you really need some teeth to bite someone's throat out. Again, just a quibble. But I kind of really wanted, when everybody went vamped out, I really wanted to see some teeth, man, because that's my favorite.
Now, I would say the character design for Angel was fantastic.
Oh, it's great.
Wings and makeup was
awesome.
Amazing.
Absolutely awesome.
The real wings, like when he wasn't CGI or anything, that looked fantastic.
Yeah, it did.
However they did the wings was incredible.
The creature design for Angel was perfect. Absolutely perfect. It looked exactly how he should have, as far as that goes. And like I said, I loved how Monsignor Pruitt saw him as an angel and was able to, and that was cool too, because in Catholicism they drink the blood of Christ and eat of the body. So he's able to mix that into I thought all that was fucking great, and then perform miracles. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it made sense why everybody was believing. All that shit was brilliant. All that shit was great. I loved all that stuff. So, it was cool, and it's nice to see something that is good for once. I don't know. We haven't anything new these days. Sorry, new things, but most of it's shit. And so it's nice to see something good for once.
Well, I gotta say, the Netflix limited series, they've been pretty damn good. Like Queen's Gambit was really good. This was pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
but Mike Flanagan for 3 years in a row just doing October shows for us is great.
Yeah. I thought, and you know what I really like too is Mike Flanagan has that scare the shit out of you moment that you never see coming, and it only happens like once. It's like the one big one. So in The Haunting of Hill House, there's that moment, if you guys remember, when the two sisters are talking in the car. They're talking about Nell, and they're finally talking to each other and opening up, and it's a very emotional scene, and it really brings you in. You're just like, oh, finally these two characters who are at odds with each other are finally connecting over the death of their sister, and they're coming to terms with it, and they're talking through it, and they're becoming better characters and better people because of it. And all of a sudden Nell just comes out through like her dead corpse, just fucking right over the center console, and scares the shit out of you. And it was like, I remember that specifically. I was watching it with my roommates at the time, and we like lost our minds. Like, oh my God, like you don't see it coming. They don't do the regular horror tricks where they, make everything quiet really quickly, so you can hear, the scare is coming. It just like happens, and they don't lead up to it at all.
I definitely like how this show makes you feel comfortable with horror. Right?
Yeah. Well, in this one,
that's a good way to put it.
The doctor, I think her name's Sarah, is like putting her mom to bed, like puts her to bed downstairs and like turn all the lights off and stuff. And then she's going up the staircase, and all of a sudden her mom wakes up and just Sarah, like that scares the shit. And they don't do a whole lot of that. There's the one maybe in the,
or even the sheriff with him in the window.
Like that.
Didn't anyone jump at that one?
I jumped at that one. That one was pretty. That was a pretty quick one, but Mike Flanagan has these ones that just really get you. And so the one where the mom wakes up and says Sarah, like I filled my pants. I had a
It's
chance.
good to know, like, he as a director can
But
have
don't
those
wash 'em,
moments and
Danny.
write those moments, but
You
he
don't
doesn't
need to wash
Freeze
overuse
them. No, you put them in the freezer.
Put them in the
Shit and all.
freezer. You
and
fix
let
just
him
the
breathe.
same.
Just let him breathe.
Yeah.
They're
Take
just
your
the same.
denim. Okay, if you have 3 shits in your denim, freeze it and you're fine. It kills the bacteria.
They don't
What
smell
stink?
anymore.
I don't
It
know
doesn't
stink.
smell.
The bacteria is dead.
Yeah.
You take
Full
you
circle.
take
That's what you're
salad
worried about.
tongs and you pull the poop out and you throw it away. It's fine now. And then your jeans are good. Why wash them when you can freeze them? Is what I always say.
They're
Y'all
gonna
are
turn
living
brown.
the-
They're gonna turn
the-
brown and stained
Oh,
eventually,
Yeah,
anyways.
listen.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's
It's-
crotch
it's
sauce
dirt.
if you freeze it? Is what I always say.
Mhm.
It's all
That's
in
called
your
a
head, man.
callback, kids. It's all in your head.
It's all in your head, man.
It's all in your pants. Jesus Christ. That part though, yeah.
Also,
The
oh,
eyes
go
out
ahead.
the window, Brenda, scared me the most. Oh my god, that part I was like, God,
Yeah.
Those eyes were just great.
The eyes are
design.
great.
fuck,
The
fuck
well,
you, show. Forget
when
me.
they showed the vampire for for the first time in that house when he lures that drug dealer in,
Oh yeah.
and his eyes are on the floor,
Bowl.
and then he gets up, and then he
Yeah.
stands up, and
Yeah.
he's like his full 7-8 feet tall self, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that
you
first
kinda tell
episode
what's
with the
going on.
cats were just fantastic. When you see
It was good,
all
too.
the cat eyes around, and then just
Yeah.
something 7 feet tall in the grass.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was good.
Holy
That was
I
good.
did in a normal back in the 90s watching TV on TV live, you wouldn't be able to rewind, but I totally rewound some of those scenes. It's like getting
Me
eyes.
too.
didn't.
Me too. I did the same shit.
The
That
one
part with the eyes,
where
I'm like, I gotta rewind that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I gotta
there's-
know.
there's one where someone is looking out the window and the eyes are there when the shot turns around, but you don't necessarily notice them until he actually dips out of the frame.
Yeah.
You realize that he's been a part of this darkness for a minute.
Mhm.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, I need to see that again. I
Is that
rewound
when
it.
he's in the bushes?
He's in the bushes.
Yeah.
And there's these 2 eyes looking at him,
Yeah.
looking back into the camera, and then he just quickly dips out, and you're like, oh, like you don't know that he's been a part of the bushes the whole time.
And these
That
are
was really clever.
these are replicant eyes. These are Blade Runner replicant eyes.
Mm.
It's
But,
some weird technique, right? Where they take a pane of glass and they angle it at 45 degrees or whatever and shine some light or shit like that. So they did it in Blade Runner, and it's where it reflects on your tapetum. I'm just kidding. Humans don't have tapetums, only animals do. But
Don't be
it
ridiculous.
reflects on your retinas or something. I don't know what the fuck how they do it. But that's what they redid this effect for the show. So that's how you knew
Huh.
people were vampires, is they had replicant eyes, which was
Looked
really
great.
cool too.
Yeah.
Oh, it did look great. So
Is it
yeah.
The
Go ahead.
the scene in the rec center when Riley actually gets turned into a vampire, I thought was fantastic too. When he opens
That
up
was
the
great.
door,
Yeah.
and the Angel's there, and he's like putting his blood in the chalice or whatever, and then all Father Paul does is he looks over and just says, "Oh,"
Yeah.
and then the
Yeah.
vampire attacks
Yeah.
him. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Yeah, that was
yes."
great. That was fucking
I
great.
love
Good-
when
it's good
those
writing.
scenes can just be so calm but so brutal at the same
Yeah.
time. You're like,
Yeah.
there's no overbearing music, no quick cuts. Just
Yeah.
like, oh, holy shit, this is happening.
Boom.
Yeah.
Well, you
It
know
was,
what? It was cool about that part too. And then later, when he takes Aaron out in the boat and tells her all shit, and then the sun comes up and he turns into flames, is he knew somehow that this was his destiny. He didn't know that he's gonna become a vampire, right, and die in a boat, but he still knew somehow that this is how he was supposed to go. So when it happened, this is how he was supposed to do it. I thought that shit was cool.
I
Too.
wonder if that meant that he was already planning on committing suicide, even just
He was waiting
on
for his
his own,
excuse.
right?
He was
Yeah.
waiting for his excuse, and this was it. He was waiting for
Yeah.
his reason or whatever. And now that he got it, he's like, you know what? This is my destiny. I'm gonna go do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he says in the
Because he
beginning,
didn't not waste any fucking time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
First sunrise, he is committing suicide.
yeah, because
Yeah.
he wants a purpose. That's his whole
Yes.
thing from the
Purpose.
first episode. He's like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
I literally live. I don't live for anything. I just
Yeah.
eat and sleep and shit, and that's
Breathe.
all.
That
I
was
do.
a
I
brutal
breathe.
conversation.
It
Yeah.
was.
It was really depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really liked Riley's character too because he's an atheist who's returning to a very religious town with no intention of retribution. Like at no point does he like
He's not
"Okay, I need to go
seeking
to church."
forgiveness.
Yeah, which I thought was really really interesting. It's
Yeah.
a very heavy thing to have in a show, especially one that's gonna he was over the course of like 5 episodes, where he's just kind of like dealing with this thing. and there's
Well,
never at a point where he's like seeking retribution for himself. He's just trying to make amends with everybody else.
Because he didn't feel like he deserved forgiveness or salvation.
He never wanted forgiveness. That much is obvious. I think he was always going to commit suicide. This just gave him his good reason. I think it was.
Yeah.
I think he explains that all throughout his character the whole time is like, listen, I'm just living. I'm breathing.
Mhm.
That's all I'm doing at this
Mhm.
point. I don't think he ever really wanted anything more than that. And as soon as he got his reasons, like, great.
Later.
Yeah.
Now I
and
can now I can pay for the death that I killed, for the death that I created, whatever
I
the girl that he
caused.
killed.
Yeah.
Now he can pay for it with his life, and
I
that's
think
that's what he
life
did.
that he took is the phrase you're looking for there.
I
Thank
think
you.
the juxtaposition of him and the town drunk character,
Oof.
because they're really similar in a lot of ways. They're
Mhm.
it's funny that, like, I think that the guy who plays the town drunk, that character rather, he is not the same as Riley,
Joe
because he
Cullen.
really does want he would like to be
He
forgiven.
does.
He wants the forgiveness, and
He's suffering in a way that he wants to be relieved of his
yes,
suffering.
yeah, and that's different than Riley, who could give a fuck. Like, he won't ever forgive himself.
Yeah.
So, and you see the different ways they deal with that. One dude is kind of a drunk after the fact, and he needs forgiveness, and then Riley kind of stops drinking after his issue. So I liked that a lot, and I like that they end up being in the AA, and Riley ends up in a way still being able to help him.
That
Yeah.
interaction with them after their first meeting when Riley
was very
like, I was
enduring.
really glad you were there, and then
Mhm.
it surprised the town drunk. I forget his name.
Yeah.
But it surprised him. It's like, really? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very enduring. I like that.
Yeah.
And also Lisa, is that her name? Lisa's forgiveness of Joe
Uh-huh,
Kelly for
Lisa.
accidentally shooting her.
That was
Joe,
my favorite
yeah.
scene.
That was
Oh, man.
that
for
was
sure.
really good.
Powerful.
That was powerful.
Oh.
That was very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That the you don't see a lot of really good kid actors, but she was phenomenal.
Yeah, she was great.
Absolutely
She was
like
really good.
nailed that scene.
I wonder how
So-
old she actually is. I'm gonna
Wait,
see right here.
37.
37.
Like a 12-year-old.
Drinking that vampire blood.
yeah, exactly.
Vampire blood. Yeah.
But no, I was very pleasantly surprised to see Hamish Linklater in this, because I've only seen him in The New Adventures of Old Christine, which is a sitcom.
Huh.
And so
You've also
seeing
seen
in
him. You've
that-
also seen him in The Big Short. He was in The Big Short.
Yeah, I mean, he plays like
Okay.
these little
A support
little
character,
supporting
yeah.
roles. He doesn't play big roles. He was in the Big Short. He was like one of the guys that worked with Steve Carell's character.
Just one of the
right?
guys who worked in the hedge fund, yeah, or whatever.
Yeah,
it
Oh,
was.
he was in
He's
Fargo
kinda there.
TV as well.
Oh, he was
Really?
great in
What-
Fargo.
And
What episode
Legion. He was
Fargo?
big in Legion.
I-
Yeah.
In Fargo, he was the IRS agent.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Mhm.
right.
He was great in
Yes,
that.
That's right.
Like,
But he
I've
plays,
seen him
like,
in
these-
so many things, but
Yeah,
I could never like remember his name. He's just such a great
Yeah.
character actor.
He
Yeah,
plays
Yeah, he really
these,
is. Yeah.
slightly comedic characters though, and so it's really interesting
Mhm.
to see that, or especially like in the sitcom, he's a main character in that sitcom. But to see him play this extremely dramatic character was really really cool. I thought
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was very
Yeah.
cool, 'cause
Yeah.
I've grown up with that dude. Like I've seen him in a ton of stuff in my entire life. So seeing him in that role, like an actual leading role, was really really, really cool.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, I hope he
I
gets
bet
more
you
stuff.
after
That
this.
could-
he'll
yeah.
What
get
Danon
some more
is trying
stuff.
to say is he would have taken the sacrament. That's what he's basically trying
Oh,
to say
yeah.
right now.
I would have walked for that
You
guy.
He
kidding
would've.
me?
That was great.
I would have walked.
This
I would've
in this
too.
show
It's
too.
fine.
Danon gets hard for Jesus.
Oh.
He would have drank the blood. Would have drank
Mhm.
it.
This show renewed my love for wanting to go confess, even though I'm not Catholic. Like I'd lie. Like I just want to
Yeah.
go do it for movie reasons. You know what I mean?
For movie
Go in
reasons
there and
and stuff.
forgive me, forgot
That'd
Father
be
for our
great movie
sin.
scenes and confessionals.
And yeah,
Mhm.
do right, and then either get shot in the head myself, because that happens a lot in confessionals and movies apparently,
Yeah.
or shoot the
If it's a
priest in the head.
mafia
One of
movie.
the two.
If it's a
Yeah.
mafia
Yeah.
movie, the priest is getting shot in the head.
I want someone to tell me, okay, 5 Hail Fathers and 7 Hail Marys or whatever the hell you have to do.
Mhm.
I just want
Close.
to do it, and I don't want him to know that I'm an interloper, right? So and then I can be happy. Remember that one time dating? We went to I think it was Sacramento, and we went into this Catholic church. I drug everybody in there. The whole family were just
It was
sitting
awesome.
there. We're sitting,
It was
sitting there.
awesome.
I forget who leans over to me and someone's like, "What are we doing, Emma? We are just sitting here in a Catholic church because it was a movie Catholic church.
Yeah, it was like
Like
a
we went to
real
San Francisco
church.
and there was that
Oh.
San Francisco.
That's cool.
Oh my god, right? It's all the carved shit and lead acid windows. What are they called?
Stained glass.
Stained glass.
I don't remember this. I remember walking out with third-degree burns.
Acid windows.
Arm
You know,
shit.
It's
It's a weird
I'm
religion,
dumb.
man.
I don't know what to say. But yeah,
This is
the
also
real
the
life stained glass
same-
windows and
This is also the same church that Ambrin, when we walked in,
oh,
walked up to the basin of holy water after my mom took the holy water and crossed herself. Ambrin just went up there and started washing her hands in the holy water.
yeah, Dana's
She was
mother's
like-
Catholic,
she was like
right?
5.
So she dipped and did the cross and everything, and we all walk in, and then you hear, hands sloshing, and I turn around, there's Amber just washing her fucking hands in the holy water,
Dude, she has the cleanest hands
That's so
to
great.
this day.
and then
That's
and then
great.
a
Blessed.
vampire walked in and she slapped the vampire and its face burnt, and I'm like, no, I know what she's doing. It was so funny though. I'm like, Amber, what are you doing? She's like, wash my hands. I'm like, you know what? I can't argue with you. She's looking for the holy soap, of Antioch. It was so goddamn funny.
Cute.
I gotta say, one little what did you call it? Quibble?
Mm.
Another quibble?
Yeah,
That's a cool
This
word. quibble.
priest, right?
a nice word.
Okay, this lifelong priest has an encounter with the most demonic being that anyone has ever seen before, and thinks that must be an angel.
well, remember he's
Like-
he's got
He's got
he's got Alzheimer's himself or something.
He's got dementia.
Which
Dementia,
I was
yeah.
going to ask
Then
earlier about that.
This
Yeah.
fucking thing attacks him, mauls him, bites him, makes him drink blood, and then he wakes up and he's clearly of sober mind at this point, and he's like, "I just had an encounter with an angel." What? Show me in the Bible where that is the kind of encounter you have with angels.
So I was leaning to what Daryl was probably thinking, which was, does his dementia at the time of the confrontation with the angel cloud his view of the angel after being saved? Does that impression last, or is he sober minded after that and like, what the fuck was this?
I think it's a
Right.
combination of him coming out of his dementia, because it doesn't happen right away. Like we see this in the doctor's mother's character, where it takes some time for
Doctor's
her.
mother's.
Yeah, the
Yes.
one.
True.
Yeah.
It takes some time for her to come out of
Several
that. and she's not just
sacraments.
like-
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it takes a long time. Okay.
No, I
There's
just
a
I know for your own
bug.
vampires over there.
Yeah.
But so he's being attacked by this thing, and he has no idea what it is because he's high off of dementia. And so while his mind is coming back from that,
high from dementia.
I don't
He
know.
just
or-
smoked a
Dementia
bowl
high.
of big bowl of
Yeah.
this
dementia.
blood
Holy shit. High off
heals
dementia.
you. It heals you of your illnesses. So he
Mhm.
shouldn't have any more dementia.
Not
Yeah, but he's
Okay.
coming
Yeah,
out
but
of it.
you-
but,
He's
you
coming
know.
out of it. So I think in his adult state of mind, he's like he's coming back to himself, and he has to justify this trauma that he's experiencing in some way. And so the first thing that he just happens to latch onto is this thing is an angel. I'm alive. I remember myself. I must have been saved. I think that's what it is. And that's the thing too, is like as we're going through this, and some of the
Yeah.
characters are like, what?
Mm.
How do you
And he
look at this
concocts
thing?
this whole thing like this is God's plan, and this
Yeah.
vampires, and it's like, where is that in the Bible? Where is that in the Bible? You're
And
a
they do
priest.
They do
Well,
touch on
Bev
that a
kept
little bit. And
spouting
he's
off
like,
shit
he's
that
like-
matched.
yeah, everybody in the Bible who saw an angel was afraid at first. I was afraid. It must have been an angel. Like they're trying to justify it in weird ways that don't work to anybody who's of sound mind.
These are
You know,
cult-like
which is
people
why-
already.
Which is why we
I-
needed Riley, because Riley was a very important character, and also the sheriff. I'm with you, Brent.
Right.
I think the sheriff is a great character.
I love the sheriff. I thought it was a great character. I'm not saying that at all. I just wish
Yeah.
his Muslim faith had meant more to the story than just
Right.
Yeah.
a juxtaposition to the Catholicism, and then you had Riley being an atheist. So I actually have some insight here, I think, on him just kind of what seems to you like in believing that this was an angel right away instead of a vampire. I think all people of faith still want proof deep down, which is why you have a crying statue somewhere or a Jesus in toast, and people flock to it by the millions of thousands, because deep down they still want proof. And this is, I think, is the same thing. Like he spent his whole life, it's all been faith. It's all been faith. And now he has proof. And it makes sense to him. This is just my
But it
crap
shouldn't
can
make okay. But I see what you're
You know what I
saying, but it shouldn't make sense to someone who has spent their entire life studying the Bible and believing that this is the inspired word of God, because there's no precedent ever in the Bible for any of this. And this is the most demonic looking thing. If anything, he should have thought he had an encounter with a demon, if anything, right? So there's like no standard in the Bible for this anywhere, right? He just makes this shit up out of thin air.
Well, like
I mean-
especially with Catholics. Think about it. With like I said, when you have a, Jesus in a piece of bread, or I can't remember the last one now, Virgin Mary, something somewhere. People by the thousands flock this. Why would they? Why wouldn't they all just go, that's just some crazy shit, and move on with their
Right.
lives?
So
Why
I
isn't
speak-
there
But
faith
they're not all
enough?
priests. They're not all priests who spent their entire life studying the Bible. You'd think,
They're still human. I heard you saying. I'm not
You know what I'm
arguing with you.
saying?
I'm just saying this is how I saw it, as how he saw it. Is deep down,
I mean,
even a priest.
technically, he was
wants-
he was a fallen priest, right? He
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
had sex and had a baby,
did slip
so he's not really that.
Not
Throw it
perfect.
out
even
there.
just I'm just saying, and again, it's just a quibble, right? But
Yeah.
I'm just
But
saying
he
someone
studied
who
the
has
word
such an
most of his
immense
life.
knowledge of the Bible
Right.
would think there's nowhere in the Bible that talks about any of this.
Except
Yeah.
Bev kept
I-
spouting off every single moment, trying to explain it from phrases in the Bible. She's like, "Well,
yeah, but that whole
this-
thing about everyone
Yeah.
was afraid of an angel. Show me where an angel fucking bites you in the neck and makes you drink its fucking
That's-
blood.
but
Okay.
that's
but from Bev's
bullshit.
point of view, like she had a library's worth of knowledge about Bible phrases that she could use for any given moment to match this
Yep.
situation that allows her to get into more and more
That's
power. over this-
Ecclesiastes, verse 10.
Yeah. But I also
And lo,
think that
this
Bev
vampire
is intentionally
Biteth
twisting
my neck.
Oh,
and sucketh my
100%.
bloodeth.
Bev
and
was
she's
100%
intentionally twisting
twisted.
every little thing. She's leveraging every
Yeah.
little part of the Bible she can to make this fit.
Hey, that's
But
religion.
The priest, but the priest doesn't have any of those intentions, right?
Well,
He's not intentionally trying to leverage the Bible to make it fit a narrative.
I think he
all of a
honestly
sudden makes
felt
this shit up.
I think he honestly felt he could help people because he hadn't turned into a vampire yet. All he knew was that this angel returned him to his younger self, saved him from death and dementia, and then he wanted to take this gift and bring it back to the island. Right?
yeah,
he had no concept that he would have died and then gone blood hungry. You know.
I'm not. I'm not. I don't think any of us are disagreeing with you, Jeremy. I think like Brenda said, his main motivation was to get have this second chance with a young old lady and his daughter
Right.
and his
Right.
doctor daughter. You know what I mean? So I don't think his reasons were wholly religious. In fact, I don't think they were at all. He used as his religion as an excuse. His
That's a good
belief
point. At the end
as
of the
an
day,
excuse
it's all selfish.
that this was
Yeah.
okay. That a vampire, because you're right. Anyone in their right mind would be like, "This is whatever happened
That's
just
a
was
fucking
really
demon.
bad. That's a fucking."
I mean,
you
you
could
can just
not-
Oh,
see
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
especially if you're a priest and you encountered what he encountered. The
Yeah.
first thing you should think, if anything, is I just encountered a demon.
I
Right? in this fucking
listen.
game.
If somebody
The
holds
nails on the wings.
yeah, if
Yeah.
a demon holds you down and sucks the blood out of your neck, you're putting 3 turds right in your denim that goes straight in the freezer. Okay, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
that's how you deal with it. You're walking around with your pants around the wailing wall. Where's the freezer? Where's the freezer?
Yeah.
Freezer denim's plain Friday.
Freezer denim. That's your whole point when you go to Mecca. Is your denim in the freezer? Is what you're looking for.
Looking for
But
Yeah.
but it definitely was like
Not going to
I mean,
Mecca.
that's kind of
It's a cat-
but that was kind of the big
Whatever.
point. They will use religion to explain away just insane things because
Yeah,
they just
yeah.
want to believe, right?
Yeah.
And then
As
some people want
I do
to
want
abuse
to
it,
point
for
this
sure.
out. Jeremy is like our resident Christian. Like he knows, he's able to bring a lot of like Christian insight.
Well,
to
just
the
one
world,
thing
like,
that
the things
stood
we
out
watch.
to me immediately is I was like, okay, show me in the Bible where this makes any fucking sense.
Yeah,
yeah.
And even when Bev is talking about the Revelation Bible verses, I mean, a lot of that is just like, this is insane. It's still crazy. It's like you can't.
Right. And it's,
If you were
yeah.
of sound mind, you would not be able to put these two together and have it make sense. It still doesn't. You're preaching this, and it makes no
I-
sense.
Yeah.
So,
I think that like it shows what we're talking about. That at the end of the day, even priests are human. And anything, when you want to believe something so bad, you will take whatever you evidence you want and take what you want from it and abandon the rest. And you can say, yes, this is, because he does realize at the end, like, hey, this is bad.
Right. Once he
And-
sees the damage that
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
caused, you know. he
Yeah, exactly.
definitely
I think he
wakes
honestly
up.
thought he could control it, and like the plan was to turn people slowly over time, and then they just went crazy.
Oh man,
Yeah.
hold on
Yeah.
to your butts. This is Jurassic Park all over again.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
He had a T-Rex in a box that he brought from Jerusalem, and it got
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I mean, I think him and his character was just super naive. I think he honestly had hope that he could help people, and
Yeah.
Obviously,
Well, and the
it
crazy
worked
thing is that he does help people,
yeah,
He
Yeah.
helps Riley.
and in a lot of ways he helps a lot of people, right?
Well, he makes,
like,
Lisa and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Riley's parents get younger as the sugar, his back quits hurting. Next thing they're dancing, they're living him to records. So yeah,
Right.
everybody in the town is doing better off because of this sacrament.
Yeah.
Which is
yeah.
at the end of the day, which is what all people want to see. People of faith, they want to see miracles. They want to, like I said, at the end of the day, people want to see proof. I mean, Doug and I were raised very religiously. So we read the Bible every night. We sang hymns, all that stuff. So we have a history too. So it's not like we're coming from nothing also. So I understand this need to believe that dinosaurs lived at the same time as Noah and were on his ship. So, because if you visit the Ark Museum or whatever it's called in Kentucky, wherever it's at, there's stegosaurs.
Kentucky.
I forget where it's at. It's one of these places. There's stegosaurs
Will be in Kentucky.
2x2, baby, going in that Ark. So,
Yeah.
which is my favorite dinosaur. Anyways, so should we do ratings or?
I think there was one more thing I wanted to talk about, but I can't remember what. Oh, you know what? The actual very end, when everybody
Oh,
does go
yes.
crazy. Yeah. I did like that church scene. I was like, oh,
yeah.
this is kind of like the church scene in the Kingsman. Kind of reminded me of
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Not as
Yeah.
It was a
crazy,
little
not
like
as
that.
like actiony and cinematic, but it kind of reminded me of that, where everybody's
But
just
the
going nuts.
just the chaos.
and then
Yeah.
outside was like 30 Days a Night.
Yeah. But also
Yeah.
when they show a little bit, when they show the angel, I love how he reveals stuff in this, because when they show that the angel's there in the church, I think it's when
That was
the
great.
sheriff grabs his son. He's like, "We're leaving," and he turns around and it's
Yeah.
there, and all you hear is that, and then the angel's just
Yeah.
standing there, and it's like 7 feet tall, and you're just like,
That
everybody
was
was
Really
great.
terrifying.
whoa.
Yeah, that was.
And then the priest
you're right,
comes
I
up. He's
forgot
like,
about that
"Nobody
part.
panic! Nobody panic!
Yeah, yeah,
okay. It's okay. This is Bill."
Perfect.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
this
And-
is it was Peter.
And the fact
Yeah,
that it wasn't
exactly.
like dimly lit and dark, the lights didn't go out. He was just
Yeah, he
fully
was just-
there.
Yeah.
And the
Bro.
That was the
Visible
best. That's the best part
in
about
the
it. Is
church,
that he
that-
is right there in the center of the thing, fully lit.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that
You know?
scared me the most about it, because I really like the like I said about Candyman. I like how a lot of the murders happened during the day, so there wasn't like the safe
Candyman.
space. There's no safe
Yeah.
space.
Sweet.
Same thing in this is like the demon, the vampire, is standing in a priest's robe in the church. Nobody's safe anywhere
Yeah.
from this thing. I thought that was one of
Yeah.
the coolest things about it, is like where they set that scene was very, very important.
Yeah.
Which also hit for me because nowhere in the previous episodes did you see the vampire act like anything other than an animal. And at that point, you're like, oh, he has intellect. He just may not speak the language.
Yeah, he's a
He
predator.
knows exactly what he's doing, and he's manipulating these people.
Brenda's
It's
phone going
Peter.
again.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys think that they are leaving this open ended to do more?
Brenda okay or
I don't think Mike Flanagan would, because I don't
disappeared and
think
then the
he's
camera moved and
at
He
least
doesn't really do
with
that.
what he doesn't do sequels yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be
He better
his
not.
his style. But is this the first series he's done?
No, because he
No,
did the
no.
Haunting of Hill House and the Haunting of Bly Manor, which were
It's
similar
answered that.
cast. Like they reused cast
Oh,
members,
okay.
but with
And they
totally
were also
different
like the same kind of like 7 episode
Yeah.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Very,
Okay.
Like Brent was saying earlier, they're very character driven as opposed to horror
Mhm.
driven. If you like,
Because
if you
they
like
don't-
the style of this, I would say
'cause
watch The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix. Fantastic series.
Oh,
Bonnie
okay,
Hill
well
Sauce
done.
is great. Was
It's also
great.
scary,
Did not
Yeah, very
The Haunting
much.
of
Because
Hill-
they don't really they leave it ambiguous as to whether or not the vampire dies.
They do. Yeah.
You're not
There-
sure
there-
if
there
the
was
vampire actually
potential
dies
to
or
make
not.
it out.
There was that moment when Lisa says she can't feel her legs, and then the
Yeah.
theory is that's when the vampire dies.
Oh, okay.
And then
I thought that just
all
maybe
the
that's-
benefit of his
I
blood.
thought
goes.
she was
That's what
getting
I
the
took from
blood.
it. That's what I
Oh,
took.
okay.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. I
Yeah.
thought it was just
Because
because she stopped drinking
they
the blood. But that
even
makes more
said-
sense.
I thought so too.
Yeah, because they were talking about it when they were rowing out. Is they wonder if he was going to make it past the sunset or not because he was flying west.
Yeah.
That's how I took it. Was that he didn't make it,
Yeah.
and so all the powers were, which I thought was weird too. Like by him dying, that takes away the powers of the blood. I don't know.
That's
That's how
vampire
I
lore
took
though
it.
too.
I thought
that's
she was
vampire
actually just
lore.
processing through the blood because she had stopped drinking the communion.
Yeah, I
a
thought
while ago.
well, because
She
she's
was-
on a
her
healthy
body's
diet of
processing
this
it.
blood up until that point, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she's continuously drinking it, so now there's enough time has gone by where she hasn't. That's
I
what
don't
But
know
the
how much
timing of
time
it,
had gone
but
by.
the timing of it, I feel like the timing of it right as the sun rose
as a
to
sun
Yeah,
me
coming
was
true.
like
Yeah.
he died.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one thing I do like about one of the final scenes, the massacre outside, is when Riley's parents, the dad specifically, says, "Yes, I've had the urges to drink, but I haven't. Like I'm still me." And then they look
Yeah.
around at the town, going crazy, and like this was
Mhm.
kind of a choice
Yeah.
Yeah.
to go visceral and murderous.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Another
and-
thing I liked too was the dude, I can't remember his name, but the main dumb helping hand guy with the big
Yeah.
old beard, the bigger dude. At
Oh,
the end
yeah.
when he's talking to one of
Sturge.
the altar boys and he's like they're crying and they're confessing to each other. He's just like I've done some shit tonight, man, that I really regret. And I was like, ooh, vampire.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
regret.
cool.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Vampire
So,
regret.
yeah.
that escalated quickly.
Although-
I really like that part where they're just like, "Oh, we fucked up," like big.
Yeah.
time.
I don't
Yeah.
want, I don't know where to become a vampire, but if you could just keep drinking the blood, right? And
Yeah.
you get
You just
younged
have-
up a
you
little
couldn't
bit
die.
and your back would
Yeah.
heal and you could
Yeah,
dance
walk
again.
Yeah.
I would do that. I don't want, like I said, I don't want to be full vampire, but if I could just keep drinking the blood every week, I'd do that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, the only bummer is that if you drink the blood and then you die,
Mhm.
Mm.
It's a
you
little-
know,
There you
whether
go.
or not you meant to or whether or not that was intentional, like you might not kill yourself. You're just drinking the blood one day and then you get hit by a
Yeah.
car. Like, well,
Yeah.
now, shit.
Easy fix, Jeremy. Just don't die. Duh.
Yeah.
Easy.
Easy.
Just die.
Yeah. So,
Um,
no, I would do that too. That sacrament.
Well, I hope that doesn't happen because I don't think I could deal with Daryl with hair again.
Oh my god, it was so beautiful. with hair.
I'm not sure I could.
I was like a
Gator Cape
young.
is coming back.
Oh my god, I was like a young Brad Pitt with buck teeth. It was amazing.
that's part of the one part that I never understood with vampire lore is how it'll return you to your peak self, at least in this show. Other vampire lore, you're just when you turn. Like,
Well, they just modified.
like
They just
Interview with a
modified
Vampire.
the rules a little
yeah,
bit, right?
yeah. And so it was like, is that this person's peak self? Doesn't look too great.
they're
Listen,
getting
some
back
of,
to the big self.
some of our peak selves weren't all that great to begin with. Well, that's
Yeah.
the thing. They modified it where, like I said, typically you get bit, you drink the vampire's blood, you become a vampire. That's it.
yeah.
You're done. You know what I mean? Now you're a
Yeah.
vampire. They didn't do that with the priest. He had to die first. So they added a wrinkle. And I was fine. I was fine with that. I just,
Mhm.
it confused me a little bit because I'm used to just the standard vampire lore where you get bit, you drink blood, that's it. You're done. You know, you're a vampire.
Yeah.
Welcome to the club, you know?
Yeah.
And they
Um,
adjusted a few. They adjusted a few things for
that's
hot
fine.
devices and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
It didn't bother me.
Yeah,
I,
Well, I gotta
like
say, yeah,
the
when he-
liberty that they took with it. so.
Yeah, when he is poisoned initially, Father Paul, I actually thought, shit, that was a bold move. They killed him off. Like
Yeah.
at
Me
the end of
too.
the third episode,
Yeah,
like bold
Me too.
move.
Yeah.
And when he just jumps, he just and he's back to life. That was a good twist. That was a good use of that, like bending the rules a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see that
Definitely.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when he does kill Joe Colley, because Joe Colley hadn't drank the blood or anything, so he does
Mhm.
die, and he's just sitting there with this blood all over the place, and he's just sitting there in the corner. He's just phased
Yeah.
out. I'm
It's
like, wow.
traumatized.
And
that
Joe
guy-
Cullen keeps twitching and everything as he's
Ugh.
eating him.
Yeah. Oh, the
Yeah.
synapse is firing.
Which one was Joe Colley? I know the name, but I can't remember which
The
one.
The
drunk.
drunk.
Town drunk.
The town drunk.
He shot
Yeah.
Oh.
Lisa
Oh, that's
while he
right.
was drunk.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I would have liked to see like had that part instead of maybe having such a long. So for me, I felt like the beginning was way too drawn out. Like if I would have just watched episode 1 and not had the recommendation that the show was amazing, I don't think I would have continued. After like episode 1 was just way too slow for me.
It's a
But
slow
I
burn.
will say, yes, I will say that that is one scene I feel like they would have shot is the forgiveness scene was so powerful. I can only imagine how much more powerful had they, actually portrayed what happened when he was drunk and shot her. I would have
Yeah.
loved to see that scene in the
Hmm.
beginning.
I kind of like when they don't show stuff like that.
I know it wasn't about them, but
Yeah, I mean, I think that requires a time jump that we really shouldn't
true,
have,
that is
but-
true.
And that's
You're
and
right.
that's
Kinda do that in the
that's akin to the relationship that Sarah the doctor's mom has with the priest and stuff like that. Is I think that's too much.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're
right.
I tend to agree with Brendan on this one. I wish, again, this is the way Mike Flanagan does his thing, right? But I wish it was more about the stuff that mattered, which is like this was a big part of the story. Her forgiveness monologue was extremely powerful. I think it would have been more powerful if we'd seen the accident on some level. I think it would have been this story would have been more powerful if it was about a forbidden love story between a priest and a town woman and this child, that the child would have been the reveal, and that would have been enough, instead of like all this stuff about Aaron Green and Riley. And it's neat, but it's back to my complaint about Breaking Bad is a lot of filler. That now again this is the way it is, and so this out it. So Breaking Bad again, and I love Breaking Bad. I've watched it 3
Can't tell.
times through completely.
You never know.
And I don't. What if it didn't have the filler? Would I love it as much? I don't know. I'm just asking a question. I'm not necessarily saying this is good or bad. I'm wondering out loud, right? Like, would this have been better if we hadn't had all this what feels like fluff at the end of the story? You know what I mean? So, because you're right, I think that was her getting shot by this town drunk was a huge thing. Maybe we should have seen a little more of that. But then
Even a little bit, just a little. Didn't have to go through the whole story, but just a little.
all we needed to see was a glimpse of it. Like maybe start the whole show with that.
Although it did leave it as a little bit
I
of
don't
a
know.
mystery of like, why do people hate the drunk?
Yeah.
What happened to this girl? But a flashback
show it
later on
later.
could have been good.
Yeah, you could show it
Yeah.
later. Like
Right.
literally just him like turning around with the gun and it going off, and then as it goes
Yeah.
off, he just cut.
And I think it would have fit when compared to the other characters like Riley and the priest and all of his stuff, is they all seem to have at least a brief flashback. So maybe it is.
Yeah,
It wouldn't
Riley's
hurt.
is-
Well, yeah, you know
what I
Riley's
mean?
is right. Yeah.
Like I said, I
Well,
think it would
yeah.
match. I think it would match some of the other characters because we get to see some of theirs.
Yeah,
Right.
and with Riley's
Lisa
flashback.
especially, she's the first one to kind of where everybody realizes that a miracle has happened. And
Yeah.
when she walks in church.
Oh, that was necessary for the
So I
story for
think,
sure. Yeah.
well, I understand that, but what I'm saying is that because of her part of it, it makes a lot more sense if we at least see a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time we see her, she's on her front porch of her house, and
Yeah.
the kids are riding by on their
Right.
bike, and what's his name, Travis or whatever his name is, Riley's brother, seems to have a thing for her. And it's not until her mom tells her to go inside that she rolls over and rolls into the house that we realize. And then every single time she's rolling up to the Catholic Church, she's the only one, her and Riley's mom are the only ones that go 7 days a week to mass.
That's too much. Church.
And so
Church.
maybe, but
This is
yeah.
I'm glad our town drunk was not the guy who shot some poor girl in accidentally when he was drunk. Our town drunk was also.
fortunately we had enough town drunks for about 100 towns.
The whole town was a town drunk, but our main town drunk. Remember, Doug? Our main town drunk.
This was
the
sort
Easter
of
Bunny.
their drop off point until they got their
and
own
he was also
town.
Santa Claus. So you go sit on the Easter
Oh,
Bunny's
perfect.
lap, which in retrospect now seems strange. But and it was so the restaurant bar in town, the Mountain Inn, was one half restaurant, one half bar. So you go sit in the bar part, and it was this drunk Easter bunny, and he would give you an STI. No, he would give you candy or
An-
something like
an
that. You sit in his
STD.
lap.
What?
When I was growing up, we called them STDs. Y'all call them STIs now. So I was
Oh, is that
trying
what
to
it is?
speak your language.
Thank you for being inclusive. Of,
Yeah, I was just trying to
millennials.
speak your language. Like, so because if I said STD, you'd be like, "What's that?"
Oh, Brenda's gone.
Maybe a different generation.
Yeah. So you sit on this drunk slap, and you get some candy and gonorrhea. No, but that was our town. I was our town drunk. So it was also the Easter bunny.
And then
so,
Santa would give you a shot of penicillin, and you'd be
yeah.
like,
Nice.
you'd be ready for
drunk.
school.
Oh, Fraser Park.
Excuse
What a
me.
strange place.
Yeah. A lot of rednecking going on there. Let me tell you what.
A lot
I
of
tell you what.
gator wagons or whatever they're.
Yeah, a lot of gator
Gator
wagons.
capes.
A lot of gator
Gator
caping
capes.
going on.
Now,
tell
I
you
did
what.
have one more question before we try and wrap things up. Is it strange that Bev was so against Father Paul and criticized him for all the small things he did wrong, and then immediately got on his side when she figured out he was Monsieur Pruitt and after he killed someone? Don't you feel like she would have wanted to preserve her power a little bit more?
I think so, but I still think that she had this overwhelming idolatry or whatever you want to call it for Monsignor Pruitt.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
I think her at least her initial reservation is when she thinks Father Paul is some guy horning in on Monsignor Pruitt, who even Sarah says that he was the priest there before she was born.
Sure.
And so
sure.
this is kind of the entire crock pot or crocker place, whatever the place is called, is sort of their figurehead. I mean, he's not just their
Right.
religious, he came up with the title of their potluck or whatever it was in the park, and they'd never done it before. And he came up with the idea, and they'd been doing it because he suggested it. I mean, he's like I
True.
said,
Yeah.
he's the patriarch of their town. And so I think that when this young guy comes in and she doesn't know who he is, I think that's where her reservations come from. And I think that there's at least some element of rationale in there. And I think that's where even after she figures out that he's actually Monsignor Pruitt, I think that's where that kind of lag between them and her going, okay, I'm on board.
Yeah.
And I think, and I also think the minute Monsignor Pruitt says, hey, Bev, will you help out? She's all ready to be involved, and it has nothing to do with him anymore. It has to do with her part in the church.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Right.
Doug's-
Because I think
Doug's right,
above all,
because-
she's a traditionalist, right? She's really power
Yeah.
hungry, and she's
Yeah.
really, she's all those things. But above all, it is about the tradition,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's got to go a
even
certain
she
way,
recognizes her place
and you
in
can't
that.
and you can't stray from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can tell for her little comments from the rest of the congregation when they do anything that's not even, and she makes comments to the sheriff and makes comments to other people like the doctor and so forth when they don't show up.
Everything
Or
has to be done this
certain
way.
way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
That makes
And
sense.
that strays is, and like I said, I think that demonstrates a lot of her. That's the source of a lot of her stress.
And then
She
if you stray
also-
from that, you get the rat poison.
Mhm.
She
Apparently.
also only
That's
wavers
right.
in control.
She's got enough for the
like,
whole town.
twice. She wavers in control when the new priest shows up, and she's unsure about him because she doesn't know how he's gonna handle things and if she's gonna be in control anymore. As soon as he kills Joe Cully and she walks in and she sees this thing, she's back in control. Did you notice
True.
that? 'Cause I
Yeah.
thought that was weird too. Is like why she is so okay with this? It's because she's taking control of the situation. She's just doing it in a different way than she was before. Now she has power again in a different light. So the second time is that when she wavers in control is at the very end, right before she dies, and she's like, I don't want to die. Tries to like dig herself into the sand. Yeah. So that's it. Other than that, she is in control, or to some degree, the entire show. like when she's talking to characters, she's annoyingly clever, so she can kind of
Yeah.
like when she's talking to the sheriff about the rat poison, she's able to get out of it in a very annoying way. And almost up until that scene where Riley's mom kills herself, and she's like, well, I mean, she's gonna come
Yeah.
back in 5 minutes, so yeah, I think she's just such a control freak. That's kind of why she's okay with everything. So because I thought that was weird too. I was
Yeah,
like, wow,
that
she's
makes
just
sense.
like totally on board with this whole coming back to life thing, like really quick. So
It was just that
Yeah.
reaction of seeing a bloody mess and it's like, well, okay, we got to clean this up.
yeah,
Let's take care of
Yeah.
business.
she's in control.
Yeah, she tells the
Yep,
mayor
yep.
and what's his name
You're
like
right.
3 times to roll him up in a carpet. So
Oh
Well,
my God, yeah.
I
she's done this
think
before.
Riley's mom says it. She even tells her then, like, you're not a good person.
Mhm.
Never have been, or whatever the hell she
Yeah.
says. It's important that she says those lines too, because this woman has got herself convinced that she is. She's
Yeah.
convinced that she's a good person, and she tells her, "You're never been a good person." This woman's always been looking for excuses to be a
Mhm.
bad person, and now she has
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that whole line about you think God loves you more than everyone else.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was really, really good.
Well, I like when Riley's mom calls, like she says that she's not a good person, and she's just like, well, that was kind of rude.
Yeah.
Just, like calls her out, like
Well,
that kind of came out of nowhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you?
Funny. And then just kind of
Also,
like waves it
Riley's
off.
mom is like kind of reminded me. She's like a dead ringer for Elizabeth Warren. Do you notice that?
Who's Elizabeth Warren? Oh,
got,
like,
the
Yeah.
demonology person.
I'll say the
No.
makeup for that actress was fantastic because she looks nothing like that normally.
Oh, really?
Even though the blood made her a little bit younger, she still looks nothing like Riley's mom.
yeah, like I said, there was a lot of geriatric appropriation in this. So.
And speaking of geriatric appropriation, ratings. Let's do it.
Yes.
All right, I'll go first because I really like the show and I recommended it to like literally everybody. So I was debating this earlier today, and I think I'm just gonna have to go ahead and give it a 10, just because I know Jeremy with the surprise there.
Bam.
So
10 status.
10 status. I really liked everything that was going on. I thought it was all done extremely well. There were some quibbles, which is why I was gonna go for a 9, but I just think the way that they executed it, and then especially the way that I felt after watching it, and the connection I was able to make with the show, and just kind of like binge it in like 2 days, because I was so invested in it and the characters and the plot and like everything going on, was what kind of bumps it up and pushes it that little extra bit just to make it a 10. But I thought it was great. I'll definitely watch it again in a couple months, when I want to watch it again. I feel like watching
Yeah.
it, as I inevitably will. So no, I thought it was great. It was really cool to see a well done vampire story that came out recently, because we haven't gotten anything like that in a long time. I was talking to you, Dad, last weekend, and I was so used to Mike Flanagan doing horror, but as it concerns ghosts, like that's his entire background. And so
Yeah.
I totally thought I was going to go that way. There's a couple of things that kind of like made you think that, like the girl that died or was killed by Riley's character, she comes back as a ghost-ish. And then when they flip it on its head and it's vampires, I was like, okay. And then I was thinking about it, I was like, but when was the last time we saw a good modern vampire story? And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm in. And then it was just
Twilight.
like, I was in. Oh,
Yeah, Twilight Dur.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Don't
So,
you
but yeah,
dare.
10 out of 10.
That was
How dare
14
you.
years ago.
14 years, really?
It's been a
Going
minute
over.
still.
Oh, okay.
2004 when that first one came out.
Jesus.
I would
thought
die
it was
every
7.
every
Or
day
6
waiting
or
for you.
something.
I'll go next. I'll give it a. Did you get that? That Christy Perry song reference I
I
did?
got that.
Thank you. That's a good song actually. I give
Kudos.
this a 7.2 because of my quibs.
Okay.
And we got to figure out a different word besides quibble because that's a terrible word.
I think it's
But
fine.
and it's actually from what's that Star Trek movie, Doug?
Trekkies.
Trekkies.
You want
There's some nerd kid on there who's very much like myself who calls it quibbles. Gabriel calls it quibbles. But anyways,
Quibbles.
yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed it, but it ain't no 10 because of all my quibbles. But it was good,
Those
and it's
quibbles
nice
add
to
up.
see something.
Mm.
Too many quibbles for me to
Mhm.
get to 10 it for me. But yeah, I give it a low 7-ish type thing.
Okay.
Soft 7.
Soft 7.
Yeah,
soft
soft
7. Thank you.
Jiggly 7.
A
There you
jiggly
go.
7. Next.
Brenda, let's go with you because you're new.
Oh, thanks. So I would give it a solid 8, for sure 8. And that's just because to me it started out, it was too slow. Like I would have completely missed this show. After episode 1, it didn't grab my attention. But I'm glad I did because it really was great graphics. We also didn't talk about the scene, or maybe y'all did. I walked away for a second. I do want to say that I also felt that the scene was powerful. I know she died a really long death, but I did love how she remained calm and like chopped up the angel's wings. I thought that was pretty sick. I have to say, I don't think I would handle my death that way, to be honest with you. In a lot of shows or movies, I put myself in the situation. I like to do that. And I don't see myself doing that as much as I would love to be an antagonist in that way. I thought that was great. But it started off too slow. So solid 8.
Yeah, I really quick on the wing stabbing death scene. I know what you're saying. Like I would probably be kicking and screaming the whole goddamn time. I wouldn't think like I better stab this guy's wings so he can't fly away. I
Y'all
would just
never buttered a vampire before?
So we can't, yes.
They don't say, but when he bites you, his saliva makes you calm. So yeah, part of science.
Science.
All right, I would throw that knife. Like I was gonna stab your wings, but then I came. So there goes that knife.
So I'm calm.
It actually isn't too bad.
Bite me again, big boy.
I did say calm with an L.
Oh, I thought it said you
Well,
made
that's something else altogether.
I was
could've
confused what you were
sworn.
talking about at first. I was like, what are you talking about? I kind of went with it.
Jeremy heard me.
Exclusive.
I
Yeah,
heard
no,
you
I got you.
And Daryl heard what he wanted to hear.
I heard when he bites you, he makes you come, and I said, bite me again. Well, fuck, let's do this.
Oh, that's some good lore right there.
And then he
Oh
will
my
be
God,
calm.
that is a fucking deep bite.
Oh man,
Right?
that's great.
That's what I call hitting a vein.
Yeah. I'm like, now we're getting to some deep vampire lore. So, which I've never heard of before. Talk about Gilda Lily. Sorry, who was next?
Oh, man.
Hold on, I'm googling.
Oh, that's
Craig.
great.
Yeah.
No,
I'll go.
not a good vampire.
I would give this a no jig 8.
Nice.
This is
Okay.
a firm 8.
Nice.
Firm
Zero
8.
jig. Yeah.
A
No, I thought it was
structurally
good. It
sound
was
8.
structurally sound 8, fully foundational. Yeah. This was really fun.
Foundational 8.
A foundational 8.
Yeah.
An integral 8.
Hmm.
Yeah, I thought this was pretty good all the way through. It definitely kept me guessing, which I always like in a show. I don't like to just watch a show and go, oh, okay, I know what's going to happen next. Or, I called this thing happening. Like, I came into the show really cold. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what genre it was.
Me
I
too,
only
yeah.
knew the title. I didn't know it was going to be scary. I didn't know it was going to be horror. I didn't know, So the first episode actually spent a good majority of the episode thinking this is going to be some kind of murder mystery thing. I thought more of this plot was going to relate back to the initial death of the girl that Riley killed. And did he really kill her? Was there something more that happened? Why did I thought they were going to explore that. And then the vampire thing came out of nowhere. Then I realized, okay, it must be some kind of horror thing. Maybe it's a slasher or some kind of monster or whatever. The vampire thing, that caught me off guard. There's all these twists and turns. And I really like that about a show when it can keep you guessing, when everything has been done a gazillion times over again. For it to still feel fresh was definitely something. And the acting's really good.
Mhm.
So yeah, this is an 8. I would watch it again for sure. Structurally sound 8.
Nice.
There you go.
Guess I'll go.
Great review.
I think Dana and I have similar tastes. I got to give this a 10 out of 10. I'm a
Nice.
huge fan of
Nice.
Mike Flanagan, so I had a lot of context coming in, and so a lot of things that I think were unexpected for other viewers, I knew going in. I was comfortable, and so like I already knew all the actors and the dynamics with that, and some things I like I figured the vampire thing out early, but then I forgot about it because I just got lost in the story and the drama and learning these characters and their lives, which is fantastic. And then it was like episode 4 or 5 and it popped up again. I'm like, oh yeah, we're watching a horror. Okay. But I love his style. I think I've said most I probably need to say earlier in this podcast, but I do want to recommend if anybody has a moment to go watch The Haunting of Hill House as well.
Yeah, really good.
If there could be a more perfect 10, I think that show would be it.
That is a good one.
Yeah,
I like really quick to bust it in your review. I liked
Yeah.
Haunting Hill House better. As much as
Yeah.
I like this, Hill House is that's a great show
Yeah,
that
I
it did
agree
not drag, did
Yeah.
not feel long,
Mhm.
hit all
Brent
the
is
points.
saying more perfect 10. Totally agree with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a better show, but they are still very, very good. They're
Yeah,
good in their own
true.
way. So.
Yeah, and I think coming off Midnight Mass, I think you will get more horror going back in his catalog, where this was definitely less about the scares, more about the interactions with community, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, but fantastic. I loved it, and just like Dan, I'm gonna watch it again because this is his shows. All of them are shows that I want to rewatch more because at the end you're like, oh, let's go back and figure out some of these clues that happened earlier on, and really learn these characters a bit more now that you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
Doug?
Okay, I'll give it a very stern 8.
A very cross 8.
I won't use the word quibbles, but I would say there was enough foundational problems I had with it.
The quibbles.
Yes, the quibbles. Thank you. Wish I thought of that.
The word you're looking for is
Yeah, right.
Um,
In case you need a word.
is that, and I mean, I think that after us talking, as I can't decide whether it was too short or too long, because with the characters that they had throughout these 7+ hours, is I would have liked to have seen more of each and every one of them, which would have required something longer. Which I guess if each one was each exploration of each character was a lot more fulfilling than they were here, I would have enjoyed watching it longer. And maybe too long, again, as it was, is we're trying to balance too many things at once. And some of it is purposeful, and that's fine. I did enjoy that, but a lot of it is, hey, we have to have 7 episodes, or it's got to be this long, or it's got to be this format, or stuff like that. And it's more logistics and less storytelling. Again, all the characters, like I said, if there was any some of my biggest quibbles is I'd like to see more, and we didn't get. There are a number of storylines that were just kind of breezed past, and it's like, wait a minute, that one interests me more than what you're giving me. And so, like I said, not perfect, very good. I'll definitely watch it again, and I definitely, based on this, because I, like you, Jeremy, I went on this, knew absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. I actually started it last night and watched the first 3 episodes till like 1 o'clock in the morning, went to sleep, and finished them like 20 minutes before I connected.
Yeah.
So
you did it, Ben.
That's the way to do it.
yeah.
Come out fresh. Yeah.
Well, because I was saying, okay, there's 7, I've watched 3, there's 4 left, it's 4 hours, but all of them are over an hour a piece. So I got cut all along. But
Yeah.
just based on what I've seen here, I'll definitely, like you said, go back on his catalog and go watch. I've never seen the House of Haunted Hill or Haunted House. Or
Yeah, I
whatever it's
haven't.
called. I've never seen any of these. So I mean, definitely based on this, I'll definitely go watch some of these others.
The bent neck lady scared the shit out of me. That's all I can say.
There's
Scared the
more
shit out of me.
Elliot for you.
Way more
You know,
Elliot.
There is.
There
a lot
was a
more Elliot
movie
in
that
Yes.
he did that I never saw. Is that
His movie catalog's not great.
yeah?
Didn't do super well. What was it?
He did
Oracle?
Doctor Sleep was his most recent one,
Mm.
Oh, really?
which was the Shining sequel. He did Gerald's Game, which was
Gerald's
fantastic
Game.
and fucked up. Pretty fucked up movie.
Well, in his defense, The Shining never needed a sequel.
no.
Only
The Shining didn't need The Shining.
This
The
was
Shining's
the
not that great.
official. This was Stephen King wrote the sequel. It's Stephen King
Yeah.
is not the best finisher of stories.
No.
Well, I mean, we
Self-proclaimed.
could talk about this all night too. Stephen King hasn't written anything worth reading in 20 goddamn years. So, and I'm not saying he's a bad writer at all. I think he's a great writer, or he was. It's the same thing about my favorite directors. They can't make good movies anymore either. So there comes a time when you got to just fucking stop. Ridley Scott, Steven Spielberg, these are my favorite directors. Those guys got to stop making movies. You know, they just
Oh,
really
yeah.
do. And Stephen King needs to stop fucking writing books and stay off Twitter. But
We could all get a
so
little
all
bit
right,
more of
yeah,
that from
sweet.
celebrities. Yeah. So-
I have the next movie.
Okay.
I have the next movie.
Is it 30 Days a Night?
No, it's not 30 Days of Night. Although I do love 30 Days of Night. It is a
Is that the
crazy
one you
ass
recommended?
movie.
30 Days
What's
of
that?
Night?
Huh?
Is that the one that y'all recommended?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like
you
30
should
Days
watch
of
it.
Night?
highly recommend.
Not for
Okay.
the podcast. Just watch it. It's a great vampire movie. Pretty recent.
Okay.
Last 10 years, something like that.
Yeah,
But I think we should watch
2000.
Mandy, which
Oh,
is
you told me
a
about this.
Nicolas Cage movie. It is so the
I like
story is
Nicolas
not
Cage.
original, but the movie is so fucking whacked out and crazy and artistic. I fucking loved it.
It's insane. Yeah.
It's insane.
Is that a
Again,
new one
not
it
an
is,
original
or has this
story.
Come out a while ago.
This was a couple years ago.
18, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's fairly recent.
But me and Doug's brother Danny showed it to me, and I fucking loved it. Like I said, story not original, movie. So that's the other thing is when you reached our point, big movie fans like ourselves, and especially us old fucks like me and Doug, we've kind of seen it all. So at this point, you need to take a story that's not original, but make it present in an original way, and that's what this movie does, and that's what I really loved about it.
And the score for it is
Oh, it's-
fantastic. Jesus.
And it's you know it reminded me, since you've seen it, Brent, it reminded me of an A24 film,
Yeah.
very much like an A24 film. It's
Never
not,
looks like an A24 film.
yeah.
but give it. Let's watch this, and I'm very interested to see what everybody thinks.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down.
Because like I said, it kind of
Yeah.
blew me away. I was surprised I liked it as much as I did, but it's super fucking weird. So, but
Mhm.
anyways, I won't say anything more about it. But I think
Okay.
that should be our next movie.
Cool. Let's do it.
Cool.
And I
All right.
love Nicolas Cage. I'll watch anything he does. So Danon's not a fan.
especially
fan.
during his needing money for IRS days.
Oh, it's
They're
the best.
Dude,
I think
those
this
are
is one of
some
those
the
movies.
bangers.
When he was like doing 42 films a year.
Dude,
Yeah.
this guy don't give a fuck. You're gonna pay him. He's gonna show up and he's gonna do it. And that's what I love.
Yeah.
About it. That's what I love about Nicky
Uh,
Coppola. So
Mm.
because he's not a Coppola, he's not a Cage. He's a Coppola. He
Yeah,
changed
he
his
made
name.
up Cage.
Yeah, he's actually
Because if you
a
watch
Coppola.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High, he's one of the potheads, and he's credited as Nicholas Coppola.
Huh.
Ah, yeah.
I never knew
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a
that-
nephew.
Nicolas Cage.
He
Forgot
hangs
about
out
that.
with Nicolas Cage and Eric Stoltz and
I
Sean
did not
Penn.
know that.
Yeah.
Are the
Yeah.
He is a
potheads.
Coppola. Yeah.
He's a
Like I said,
Coppola.
if you look at the ending credits, he's credited as Nicholas Coppola.
Mm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So like Francis Ford Coppola?
Yes.
Yep,
That's
yep.
he's a
Nephew.
nephew. He's his nephew. That's his
Nephew.
grandfather. That's his uncle, father.
Nicholas
his uncle.
Cage is Francis Ford nephew's wife?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Francis
Yeah,
Ford
kinda
nephew's
like that.
Coppola.
He's
Yes.
he's his own grandfather?
He's part of the family.
Except,
Your
except
father's
in English.
daughter's
He
cousin's
chose not to
former
use the name because he didn't want to be deal in nepotism, I think.
Yeah. Nicholas Ford Coppola's nephew is his uncle's grandfather. So there you go.
So
Yeah.
he's his own grandpa.
Who's the time
Yeah.
traveler's wife?
Yeah,
Should
but
give him
Danon's
another-
not a fan, and love Nicolas Cage. I'll watch
What?
Oh
movies.
my god,
Man.
Con Air,
Love 'em.
Face Off.
Oh,
Face
Yes.
Off.
Off.
I'm
Yeah.
a huge fan of
on.
Nicolas
The
Cage.
Wicker Man,
Oh
Dude.
my
Come
God.
Gone
on.
in 60 seconds.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
god.
Yep.
All of them are
Great.
fantastic.
Knowing.
Was that
Right.
movie that
Knowing,
he
yes.
knew time?
Knowing's great.
Yes.
I'm glad you
What's
know
the
that
movie
one.
where he
Fuck
knew time?
yes.
No.
Okay, knowing is a piece of shit.
It's just
But-
fun.
Oh, I love
No,
knowing.
knowing's pretty
Knowing's
stupid,
great.
guys.
There's
Yeah,
knowing
there you go.
and next. Next was
Next,
another movie.
that's
I
the one.
love
That's the one.
Next.
It's a
Yeah,
fucking
Next
He
is
plays
awesome.
the
movie.
fucking Vegas magician.
But I don't know
Yeah.
if
Next is
anybody's
really bad.
I don't know if anybody's caught up with Nicolas Cage, but he's doing like 5 batshit crazy movies a year after
Yeah.
Mandy.
Yeah.
He's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm in on this.
I wanna
So
watch
Mandy
Pig.
really started this whole trend. Yeah, I really want to see Pig as well.
Oh,
Pig's
I
supposed to be
haven't
really
seen
good.
Pig.
I'm down to see it.
I haven't seen them either. They're not as good as Mandy, is what Danny's
No.
telling me.
Mandy was like the peak, and then he's like, "Oh, I like doing these movies." So
Yeah,
Mm.
So
yeah. There was one that came out recently where he's like Samurai Wasteland type thing that I really want to see. Can't remember the name.
Oh yeah, I know what
And-
you're talking about.
everyone, do me a favor before you watch Mandy. Do not go to the IMDb. Don't
Mhm.
learn anything about it. Just go in cold.
Oh yeah.
But see if you
right
can
now.
figure out who the main cult leader is. See if you can figure out who he is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right, Brent?
Yeah.
Got it.
See if you can figure it out, because it blew my mind when I found out who this guy was. So just watch the movie first, and the whole time you're like, "Fuck, I know this guy." It's
Oh, I
great.
hate that shit because I always
Oh,
wanna look
it's
it up
awesome.
immediately. Okay.
Hey,
That's
that's I see on. I'm back on the main page here. I see that House of Dragons trailer over here.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
I'll
yeah,
have to
yeah.
watch
Check
that.
that out at some
Yeah.
point.
They don't, the trailer. They don't tell you anything, but so and it looks good. But it's hard to tell with a trailer like that where they give you zero information, which is the
Right.
best trailers ever, right? The worst trailers are where it's a 3-minute version of the movie.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So this doesn't, and I have hope though, because I love the
Yeah.
Game of Thrones world so much. So
We'll see.
Yeah,
See what
I do
happens.
too.
So
let's go
something
ahead
that's
and-
interesting. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. Yeah, because
I'm saying Mike Flanagan's already lined up for his 2022 series, The Midnight Club. Yeah, on
I'm in.
Netflix.
Really?
Yep.
Whatever it is. I'm
So the vampire ended up making it to Vegas.
Yeah, the Midnight Club.
Yep. Yep.
I wonder if
told
his
you it was
wife's
be
gonna be in
Or
this
did he
one.
or did he put lettuce, tomato, and bacon on a chicken sandwich?
at night.
Yes.
At
Now I'm
night.
hungry. Why would you do that to me?
12
Yeah.
o'clock.
Now I gotta go get
Midnight
second
Club.
dinner.
This is Carl's Jr.
That-
Now introducing the Midnight Club.
And it's Bill the vampire just like making these sandwiches
Yeah.
at a.
It comes
Jack
with
in
its
the
own
Box.
chalice and
Mhm.
and the
No
only thing I've
sauce
learned
fries.
from tonight that's been added to vampire lore is when they bite you, you come. That's what I
Clearly.
figured out.
Clearly.
So
All righty.
Handily.
that's the real takeaway from the podcast.
Okay, good. Now we can end. Perfect. Now that we got that out of the
And
way.
on that
All right. Well, thank you for watching. This has been We Like This podcast. Thank you, Brenda, for joining us. If you want to follow us, we're on WLT Podcast on Instagram, or you can join our Discord, which is down below in the description. And then just catch us every Tuesday that we do this. Oh, by the way, I won't be able to do next Tuesday.
What?
I
Nice.
know. I know. I just remembered. We're auditioning a singer, and that's the only time
Okay,
we
well,
can do it.
got to do what you got to do.
And I may be still out of town. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah.
so you're turning the gator capes into Steve Irwin in the gator capes.
What? As our band name?
As your band
That could
name.
be our band. Yeah, I mean that sounds good to me. So,
Well,
but yeah, whenever we watch Mandy, maybe we could just do it on like a Wednesday or Thursday, something or unorthodox. So, let's see.
Whoa, man, talking
That works.
crazy.
I know.
Wednesday
I know.
podcast?
Lose our one
Wednesday
fan.
will work for
Been
me.
that a long time. It's been a long time.
It's been a minute.
It has.
I don't think I had a job when we did a Wednesday podcast.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, we'll have to see if it works. But
I don't think anybody had a
uh,
job. We were doing the Monday,
Yeah,
Wednesday
exactly.
podcast.
That's right.
I don't think I had a job. I think we were furloughed. So
In my
was
set
for-
living room. No, when we're doing the set we're doing anything but Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah.
We
Oh, I
like
have
this
to.
Wednesdays.
mhm.
We like this Wednesdays.
It has a good ring to it. Okay, well, there you go. Midnight Mass. Done. Good
Are
night.
we done? Are we
everybody.
out?